Oh, look at you. Laddie. Get out. I was going to ask, but I thought, no. How are you, mate? Nice to see you.
Lawrie McKinna, the Mayor of Central Coast. A lot of people mistakenly keep saying the Mayor of Gosford.
No, I was the Mayor of Gosford.
Yeah, I know you were,
2012 to 2016. And still a lot of people forget, but then after that, the amalgamation happened, and that's when I came up to join the Jets. When the amalgamation happened, I could have stayed on at council for a few more months because they offered all the councillors from both councils little committee jobs to keep them ticking over to the time run out. But I had other business to do in Newcastle, so I just gave it away. I was the only one that gave it away and came up with Newcastle.
I was going to say, yeah, the amalgamation between Gosford and Wyong, two big councils. How has it been? I mean, Wyong was in a bit of turmoil, or both were in a bit of turmoil before the amalgamation.
Obviously, the amalgamation wasn't smooth. It was a bit of a nightmare, actually, and
do you think they were too big? The councils were too big to merge? Because there was a lot of mergers in Sydney, which I understand, but these were two giant.
Yeah, both were over 100,000, 150,000 population. Now we're about 350 population, so it's one of the biggest ones in New South Wales. But it was just a lot of the stuff behind the scenes just never worked right, and a lot of the costs blew out what was expected, because I think the government gave X amount of $1 million to make it happen.
Yeah,
but I just know the computer system and all that side of things was a shambles, and so that went on, and then the council went into administration after that for 4 years, and we had an administrator in there for 4 years, and that was the first election last September that I put up Team Central Coast, and we run candidates in each of the 5 wards, and we were lucky enough to get 3 in.
Is it easier the second time around?
I wouldn't say it's easier. We only had 10 councillors. It was 10 each before, now it's 15. So it's a lot easier looking after 10 than looking after 15. So, but no, it's got challenges, because obviously everybody's got opinions and everybody's got different backgrounds, and obviously there's political stuff in there as well. So, but we're going all right. We're getting things done slowly, but it's a slow change. You can't, local government, when I first went in there 2012 for being a coach for years, you get in and you make a decision on the football field, it's done. You do it then, you make a change, and you have to make decisions on the spot. With council, you go in and it gets fronted, and it just takes a long time for the wheels to turn round and actually get things out the other end. Yeah. And that's the frustrating thing for the ratepayers, because they don't see that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people unhappy around the North Entrance Wombrel way. That's a real. Isn't it a drama every time you have a massive downpour? You must be waking up going, what am I going to wake up to?
Driving up here today, because the weather was horrendous last night, all night. We had emergency works getting done quite a few weeks ago. But the Wombrel and North Entrance councils, working with them, the state government, but it's not just, we can't just go and start digging up and building barricades up. There are a lot of legislation to go through, and that's a frustrating thing for the ratepayers.
And it's hard too, because even in Newcastle's got its challenges at the moment with New Lambton Heights. A lot of those houses have, about 14 houses that have been cordoned off because of the landslip around that Curzon Road area. And council's in that position where it's almost like, where we're getting council rates. There's nothing's been undermined. The land slipping because of natural, erosion, I suppose. It's a tough one for council, because there's a lot of money that have to be spent to fix things where there's other areas in where council's jurisdiction that has to be fixed and stuff like that. So it's almost like you're pouring a lot of stuff into one little area. And especially on the Central Coast, but a lot of people have this thing, they live in Womberall, North Entrance, they're all pack of rich wankers, you know.
Oh, the homeowners have actually said they'll pay for the work, you know, so they've actually paid for it. But there are a few people out there saying those things. But it's just the legislation. The frustrating thing is we can't make the decision. We need the state government to back us to get things like the other week there when work was getting done. On the Tuesday, the work started. The council had staff down there at 6 o'clock in the morning because as soon as the Leocom, which is like emergency services police, as soon as they deem it not to be an emergency, the work had to stop. So we had like these 4-ton rock bags waiting to get dropped in front of these houses. But as soon as the government said, well, the weather's lightening up now, it's not an emergency, council would have to, all the ones that weren't put in place would have to get taken away. So it's really frustrating for the homeowners because they're looking going, well, those rock bags could go in front of my property and protect my property. But we're actually not allowed to put them there because the emergencies seem to be gone.
Yeah. You'd be getting a lot of phone calls. You're the sort of mayor that, you're very personal, Mayor, where someone wants something done, and if you're the sort of person that'll ring someone, a ratepayer, and set the record straight, so to speak. Do they ever go, Lawrie, I've got a couple of potholes out the front, I need filled?
I get it all the time. When I'm down the beach in the morning swimming, I get it. And one day a few weeks ago, the people, they're really nice, said, "Oh, can you check this road out?" And I said, so later that week, I drove past it, and it was shocking. It was shocking. And I tamed some pictures, and I just send it in and forward it on. I can't get involved. I just sent it in, and the next day I came down swimming, and the guy went, "Oh, thanks so much, Lawrie. They came yesterday afternoon and fixed it all." It was nothing to do with me. I hadn't even sent the pictures in. It just happened to be that was on the list to get fixed.
Yeah.
But I tamed the pat in the back. I patted myself. I never told them.
You look like a genius.
I never had the courage to tell them that it was nothing to do with me. It was just council was just doing their job.
But even the first time, I remember I used to work for MBN on the Central Coast, and there was times you used to go, come down from the office and thank council staff just for things like that, where you wouldn't see that, not in any organisation usually, where the head ganger comes down. If people's doing a good job and people come out their way to tell me they're doing a good job, it's nice just to get a pat on the back and say, "Hey, well done." It's the same when I was a football coach, and even as a player, not that it happened often with me because I wasn't that good a player, but when people come up and pat you in the back and say, "Well done," it's just nice. And as a coach, it was when somebody's being over and above, you give them praise for it. It's just nice to say, "Hey, you're doing a good job." And I've done that for years and through all my working life, done it at Newcastle Jets, in the office, and I just think you get more out of people if you recognise and appreciate what people do. I feel like in a way you've, as a coach in the past, you've taken a little bit of that to being a mayor in regards to
Definitely.
being a team.
It's just a team. You'll achieve more in the council if you're working together, working with state government, working with federal government. You just look at them, you've got the council's like the team, state government's like your state team, that's you making the rep team, and then federal government's your national playing for the Socceroos.
Any free transfers given away?
I would like to give a couple of free transfers away, but we can negotiate a good price for a couple.
Mate, I've got to say, I've got to thank you for coming in. You're looking your best. You got the kilt on. You got
I better stand up just to show that I'm all dressed up. You can see my knees and that. No, I had this at home. And you said, what are you wearing? And I just thought I'd scrub up all right. Got my wee sporting there.
You got your sporting.
Well, I needed somewhere to put my... One of the times when I was the mayor of Gosford, was doing a citizenship ceremony, and friends of mine's were doing it, Scottish couple of the own Specsavers, Dougie and Susie. And we had, I got Dougie McFarlane, who we spoke about before. He played Waltz and Matilda for everybody coming in, which was amazing. And I'm standing up doing the speech, doing the serious bit, and somebody was phoning me. It was on vibrate, and it was just sitting there. And I'm going, is anybody phoning me? Because if you are, can you phone me again? Because it's vibrating in my sporring, and everybody was pissing themselves laughing. But I just thought I'd make an effort this morning.
Well, if you're making an effort, are you going traditional underneath?
Definitely.
Oh,
It's just when I stood up there, my nuts stuck to the seat.
If I've dropped my pen, it's staying down there. It's why you didn't bring your gold chains.
Funny you should say that. I just happened to...
Get out. I didn't think that was. I didn't think they were chains.
You know when the chef just... Oh, funny you should say that. I'll just pull this out.
Something I prepared earlier.
Something I prepared earlier. I just brung the chains.
Do we need security?
I don't know if we need security. I'm a big unit, but I can't run. I can't run that fast with my kilt on. I can't run that fast at all. But
you wouldn't be able to run with them on.
So I just thought, if I was going to go the full hog, or maybe there you go. I'm looking all right up there.
You're showing off now.
I just see Christine, my wife for 45 years. She hates it because I've got more jewellery than her now. She gets jealous, but it's hard to put them on. But I'll just set them there.
Do you fit? So when you walk in, I'd love to see you walk into a chamber with them on, with a song. What's that? Gangster's Paradise. Been spending all my lives living in the gangster's paradise.
I don't actually. It's only certain. I've had them on. I had them on last weekend. The Scottish Highland Dancing Australian Championships was on the coast, and because they get judges from all over the world there, and they had 300 dancers. I came in with the chains and the kilt on. That went down great, and then we had Sister City Edinburgh Youth Group here on Wednesday night, and I dressed, because it's a culture thing. I dressed up, and they loved it as well. So it was.
Do you get to keep them?
No, maybe if I become the mayor again, I'll keep them.
Well, when you win a trophy, obviously you get a replica trophy. To me, you've done a good job. You should probably get a replica of the chains.
Nah, I think my missus will be glad when I give them back, because then she'll not hear me chinging about the house when I've got them on.
You can't come in quietly. We've had so much request for you to come on this podcast. It's almost like everyone loves you. You're like the Scottish Father Christmas.
Is that because I'm a big fat guy with a beard?
But, does anyone hate you?
Sometimes Christian will hate me, especially when I was at the Jets and I put in all that money to keep the club going. But I'm sure you'll ask me about that after. So obviously that wasn't a good conversation when I saw it on the front page of the Herald as I was driving up to Newcastle, and I'd done the UE on the freeway and drove back down. I'm in the house, and she said, "What are you doing back here?" I said, "I've got something to tell you." And she thought it was me going to tell her something bad, like I was knocking about another woman or something. So she sat on the couch, and I went, I've put $375,000 into to keep the Jets going, and it's came out in public, blah, blah, blah. And obviously you can imagine what that was like.
Yeah.
So you went from having no mortgage to having a big mortgage, and thought you were going to get the money back, and never came back.
Yeah. So you went on to become the mayor just to get out of the house?
I don't know what I was scared to get in the house sometimes. I had a picture come up on my memories the other day, and it was my birthday, and I was blowing out the cake, and she had this big cake knife behind me, and it was like, I think a few times she felt like doing that, and every right to do so.
Yeah.
But I think that's why we've been together since we're 15, and
she's a good woman.
Married for 45 years, and probably together 49 years.
Yeah. We'll get into all that Martin Lee a little bit later, but I was just going to say, another person probably wouldn't be on your birthday card list would be Deb O'Neill.
There were a few words said there, obviously.
Former member for Gosford, was it?
No, she's in the upper house.
Yeah, but she was.
She was running, she was the former MP for the coast. No, the bottom end where Gordon Reid is. Yeah, Robertson, and then your other one. So no, but that was because we was singing that we put together Team Central Coast and run for the federal election, and obviously Labour and Liberal were wanting our preferences. Mm-hmm. And on the Wednesday before the election that weekend, we knew that the Libs were going to win the election. So we had two how to vote forms. We had one Labour on one side, Liberal on the other. And we went with the Libs, and my votes got Lucy Wicks over the line.
Yeah.
So Deb O'Neill. No, it's all quite pleasant now, but Deborah O'Neill didn't like me very much.
I could say I felt, because I was down there at the time. I think we got a picture of him with Lawrie vote one, Lawrie, at the very top. It was a very savvy move by you, wasn't it? You know, when it comes to, you're the mayor and you know you're going to get the great outcome to get over the line, and that's what you did. You used that. It was like a real play.
Yeah, no, look, because the reason I became the mayor before is because I did well as a coach. You know, look, I wasn't a politician. I was a community-minded coach at the Mariners, probably the best community programme in the league at the time. Great crowds when you look back on it now. And going there and getting pictures taken with the boys, with Hutch, Monty, Matt Simon, all the boys, Millie's there. And I had a long relationship with them over the years at different clubs and that. But it was the football fans that adopted me when I went there 20 years ago as the coach for 5 years. So using that football spin and just treating people properly got me over the line, and that got Lucy Wicks, got her over the line. Because we knew we wouldn't again, but I got about 10% of the vote or something.
Yeah.
And later, and Deb O'Neill came out publicly and smashed me for weeks and weeks, and I just let it go. But I got the opportunity later down the track to say a few words.
Yeah. I actually felt sorry for Deb. She actually was a good politician, but I totally get what you did in regards to getting the best out of your area. How many times have you been asked to go into politics?
Many.
Also,
by both sides.
Both sides.
Both sides, the federal, state. Been down the track with Deb, with the Labour Party. It was actually for that same election. But that's when I think Pauline Hanson was the Prime Minister at the time, and I was definitely thinking about doing that. And then that's when I've actually never told anybody this. That's when the Labour Party had the vote to get rid of her, and it fell over. You know, they never got the numbers the first time. They got the numbers the second time, and I just thought, how can I put my name to this when you can't even get your numbers right to get rid of your Prime Minister?
You mean Gillian Gillard?
Julian Gillard, yeah.
Imagine, I was going to say,
sorry,
One Nation didn't approach.
No. It was the Prime Minister there, and not that it had much to do with her, but any time I did, because I remember when I was in China, she was in China as well, and that's when the Mariners were playing the Asian Cup, and I phoned her up. I had Deb O'Neill. Deb had gave me the number, and I contacted her to see if she could come to the game, and she couldn't make it, but she wished the boys all the best, and I phoned Robbie Slater up, and they announced it on air that night. But I just felt then that how could I put my hand up and go into politics when they're trying to get a new leader in there and they couldn't get rid of the old one. It just didn't sit right with me, so I didn't want to do it.
Is this something you might think of down the track, do you think?
A lot of people keep saying there's a state election coming up in a couple of years. Well, even for the election, the federal election there, I was on one of the polls that was going around about because people were asking about Team Central Coast, because we got, I think, 30% of the local vote, which is a big number to come away for Liberal or Labour. You know, it's a big chunk, so we've got a good following there. But it's something I'm not even considering at the moment. But you never say never.
Yeah,
have to keep them on their toes.
I think you've got a coaching gig in between that before you even get to that. Just to reel it back a little bit, you know, when you first got into council, I was actually there that night when you were voted as the mayor. That's where your beautiful picture there.
You go. My mum had just come out from Scotland. My dad had passed away in March that year, and my mum had just arrived, and it was a real emotional night, a real proud night. And
you didn't expect to get into to become mayor that night, did you? Or did you have an inkling?
I had an inkling, but you just never know. You know, it's, you know, you talk before it, and you speak and you talk about it, you got the numbers, and you just never know. But when I got them, I didn't even know what to do. I can remember when they said Lawrie McKinna as the mayor, and I was sitting there going, right, what do I do next? I had no idea what to do. But
I remember you had to get someone to sit next to you and chair the meeting, didn't you?
Oh no, well, Paul Anderson. It was good, Paul Anderson. He eventually came in a couple of months later, but no, he was great because, and it's the same. David Farmer's the CEO now. Paul Anders was the CEO back then, and they're just so knowledgeable and so helpful. So you need that advice just beside, because it's a lot to take in.
And it was John Singleton that gave you the want to do that?
Yeah. Well,
The push?
I just came back for I'd come back from China, coaching over there, and then I'd come back and Single said, you have to put your hand up for council. I said, I'm not interested in that. And he kept pushing. He said, there's nobody else. We need to change. And he kept prodding. And he's quite convincing.
How long did you know him before that?
No, since the Mariners, because a lot of people don't realise what he did behind the scenes. And he was on the board of FFA.
Yep.
And then he was one of the reasons John Aloisi came. When we signed Aloisi in 2008, I think John actually, he gave the club, he sponsored the club for that amount of money to get Aloisi over the line. Yeah.
We'll get into the Singo bit as well a little bit later when we get into the Mariners. I'm going to bring up one of your player profile from your playing days.
What about the mullet on that?
You haven't changed a bit, apart from the chains.
Yeah, apart from the chains.
A couple of things.
And that was like a woolly jumper. They were as thick as hell back then. The blue, and that's just in case anybody's getting mixed up for green and white. It's definitely blue and white.
A couple of things on that.
I can just see one of them. I know the one you're going to say.
Well, first of all, I'm going to say, the TV show you switch off.
No, that was the one I picked.
Political programs.
I wasn't interested at all.
Who'd have thought?
But to survive in football over here that many years, you have to be a politician, I think, and still be involved. But U2, favourite pop star, I changed that. I'm a Simple Minds fan now, so U2 got the bump. Obviously, favourite ground Somerset. That was to play there. When I put down that was as a player because it was a local derby with Kilmarnock. I was a van driver and playing football because it was part time.
What about this one? Which person in the world you'd like to meet? The Queen. Now, I believe that you actually did meet the Queen.
Nah.
Oh, no, I reckon you did.
What pictures? Oh, no, I knew her in that Rangers shirt. and to be honest...
You obviously had an influence on her too.
Well, when the Queen passed away, I was actually back in Scotland that week. I was getting back to Scotland that week, and I phoned David Farmer, the CEO of Council. This is before Council, but he used to swim with us when we swam down at Terrigal, and I knew the Gosford chains were in his drawer. And I says, David, can you have a word with the Governor General if I can represent the Central Coast at the funeral? Because I was going to be over there at the funeral.
Yeah.
I said, he said, we can't do that. You're not allowed, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, what, but just give me the change and I'll just stroll in and wing it and I'll see if I could have went in with David Beckham and had a donut. Because I would have went down, because being a Rangers fan, being a loyalist, the Queen, and I always remember one of the times I was in at Ibrox, and it was just before Christmas. I was up seeing the CEO at the time, and I thought it was so cool. You get the Christmas cards on the table, and there were a Christmas card for the Queen, and I just thought it was so cool.
Yeah,
I felt like stealing it. But it was just sitting there and went, how good's that? That the Queen's actually sent Rangers
wow. Just with the
Christmas card.
Just back with Kilmarnock. Was it Kilmarnock or was it one of the teams you played for before? Is it yes or no? Did you once shit yourself in the middle of a game?
Kilmarnock reserve game. It was the last few minutes, and a guy called Forsyth. He was an ex-Rangers player. He was tough as nails, and we both slid in to get the ball. It was a mud heap in a Wednesday night reserve game at Kilmarnock, and I should have went at half time, but I couldn't. But I had a bit of an upset stomach, and he's just got his guts right, and I've just filled my pants. And there were only a couple of minutes to go, and I wobbled off the field straight into the bathroom, and that was the days when they supplied you with the jocks. And I put them in the toilet system, in the toilet. I went in the toilet, and there were only one toilet in the place, and I've put them in. And years after, when I was back there, I actually went into the toilet and I lifted up the system just to check to make sure they weren't there. But obviously somebody had found them. I just stashed them away there.
It's no good when you wear white shorts with.
No, lucky they were blue, but I wasn't scared for Forsyth, but I definitely shit myself.
You've got some great stories, mate. Just in regards to being mayor, you're very active on social media. You've always got something going. I'd love to be with you. The day of life of it should be a reality show. The day in the life of Lawrie McKinna. Was always something happening, and what I love is your community service announcements on social media. Now, here we go. Don't. I'll do it in your accent. Don't park under the lamppost at Gosford Waterfront if there's a pelican on top of the lamppost. Pretty messy.
And that wasn't my car. I got mistaken for my car, but I walked past it. I went, the poor bastards, look at this. Because these pelicans, they drop a fair. I've had it before. And I was just walking past there with my wee dog because we moved into Gosford and I saw that and I thought it was just helping. I thought that, yeah, I think it was a good way of putting it there. It was a public announcement. Just don't go below the lamp because people just drive in and try and get next to the water, but check what's above you.
Right. Well, for people listening or watching, this is that's the end of all the poo jokes. We're moving on now. Back to Singo. Didn't he once? He once wrote you up a contract on a menu. So was it a Mother's Day menu?
It was a $40 Mother's Day menu. So after the first year at the Mariners, we made the grand final. Had unbelievable year. I was meant to have a 3-year deal, but I'd actually never signed the contract with the club. Not because I didn't want to, because they just never got it. I never actually got offered it. And then when Singo was on the board of FFA, he phoned me one night because he knew I hadn't signed. And he says, I'm going to see you the night. I'm going to come to your house. I'm going to see you because you're going to sign. You're signing for the club. And I'd been speaking to Sydney FC because I didn't have a contract. I actually didn't have a physical contract with the Mariners.
That was for the whole season up until the grand final week?
That was after the grand final.
Wow.
So I was meant to have a 3-year deal. And it never got signed for whatever reason.
Were you getting paid somehow?
Oh, no, I was getting paid. No, I got paid.
Yeah.
I just never had a written contract. So then Sydney approached me. I spoke to Sydney, and I was thinking about it then Singo. As soon as Singo phoned me that night, I went, somebody at Singo's phoned me to tell me I'm not going on now. That's good enough for me. So I met him at Iguanas. He came, he drove in, his driver, Alan, drove in the car park. I was waiting, and Singo his door wouldn't shut. It was a Ford Falcon wagon. His door, and he had one of those, is it jockey straps, hockey strap, you know, the elastic thing?
Yeah.
And the door opened up, and he handed me the phone. He said, here, speak to him. It was John O'Neill, who was the chairman of FFA at the time. He says, hi, Lawrie, it's John. I'm just letting you know, get as much off Singo as you can because your deal, you're not going to Sydney FC because he's just gave Frank Lowy a mouthful in Tel Aviv. So Singo had phoned up and said, you're not getting McKinna, because he was the chair of FFA and he was the one of the owners of Sydney FC. Get as much as you can off him, blah, blah, blah. And we had a bit of a laugh, went inside and went through to the back office and we just started talking and we actually... Singo wrote that out. I've still got it somewhere. I would have brung the original, but because we moved house, but I was going to get 175 quid, 25,000 shares. There were shares every year, so wow. I was a shareholder. So it was a 5-year deal, and 5 years is up there, and bonuses and stuff.
What
like
I find extraordinary was that you hadn't had a contract all season. Were you banging at the door going, what's going on?
Yeah.
And the team still kept on going without...
No, they stepped on. I just kept that to myself. But the club were scared. They didn't want to time into a long-term contract and they couldn't pay me because the finances, because things were tight. So that was the reason. So Singo had said, whatever the club doesn't pay you that, I'll pay you.
Yeah.
So when I left the club, when I left the Iguanas that night, I phoned Lyle Gorman, who was the executive chairman. Yeah. I said, I'm just letting you know, I've just signed a contract with Singo, and he wasn't happy about it. I said, look, I have to look after myself. You wouldn't give me a contract, so I've done a contract. But to be fair, the Mariners honour the contract.
I suppose too, when your stocks are high, you got the team to the grand final. That's the time to negotiate, isn't it? I think Brian Clough used to say, whenever he used to say that the first 4 weeks as a manager is your strongest because you can ask for players, you can buy players because they've just hired you. They're putting their belief in you. So you're at your strongest at that point.
Yeah, and at that time I was strong, but it was just, that was the going rate at the time anyway. So it was more, I think my contract agreement was 100 grand. Obviously, I got more, but to be fair to Lyle honour everything in the contract anyway. So I redone the contract, but Single, I think he came off the board of Football Australia after that, and he was a sponsor of the Mariners for the first 4 years, because Westfields was a sponsor, and he had told Frank Lowy, this is before us, this is when they were trying to get Single involved. Strawberry Hills was on our shorts, which was his stud farm at Summer. So, and that was, we had some great night. He flew Alan Jones up to MC a big fundraiser night at Iguanas. Helicopter landed in the stadium, and Alan Jones got driven over and hosted the night.
He seems like a really good friend to have.
I know he's doing that. I spoke to him the other day. He was speaking to me in French. He was in Paris. He was back in France talking to he's overseeing one of his daughters, and I gave him the parlez-vous français, and he gave me some shit back, but I didn't know what he was saying. But no, he was quite fluent.
In regards to him, I mean, he's very much a Central Coast man. I suppose the fact at the time that he owned the stadium, he had a fair stake in wanting the Central Coast to go forward. And you remember, he's very much an old-time rugby league man too, wasn't he?
Huge rugby league man, and to come. Like at one stage, he gave the boys wanted us to get a horse. He said, I single for a horse. They were always at me. So we went out one day and I said, John, can you give the boys a horse? So we actually worked out, and we tamed Matty. The punting club was Alec Wilkinson, Matt Simon, Hutch. So we all went up. There were about 10 of us went up to the farm.
That sounds like no good.
And we went up, and he had more Joyous and a few horses like that. And the horse, so the boys were allowed to pick a horse that he owned 100%. So they went through the bloodlines and did all that stuff. And the one we picked, it was called Mariner's Joy. And his racing colours are like the St Andrew's flag. It's like royal blue with a white cross, but it was yellow and blue. So the colours. And I was registered as own. And the deal was, if you were a signed player or staff member and the horse won, you would get a share of the prize money. That was because he was paying all the feed and all that stuff. But the horse never run. It broke down. It actually got injured, and it never actually got to race. But we actually had a horse, and it was registered as Mariner's Joy.
It never ran.
It never ran. But no, he was a big supporter, but rugby league through and through.
Yeah.
But he just loved what the Central Coast Mariners did for the Central Coast. That was his thing.
At Elk Architecture, we don't just design buildings, we shape the spaces where life happens. From concept to construction, our award-winning architects bring our vision to life with precision, passion, and purpose. Whether it's your dream home or your next big commercial project, trust Elk Architecture to build what matters most. Elk Architecture, designed for life, built for the future.
Back to kilts. How many kilts you got?
I don't own a kilt. I'd never wore a kilt till I came to Australia.
Wow.
And
I thought every Scottish name had a colour.
My name doesn't have one. I think that must be like an offshoot. But the first night I wore a kilt was some big Masonic dude that didn't get invited to not as a Mason, as the Mariners coach in the city. And I always remember going to the toilet for the first time. And I'll stand up and I'll show you. Because when you go to the toilet, you have to lift up the kilt.
Yeah.
And your sporran goes to the side. So you knew everybody who'd been for a piss because they forgot to straighten their sporran. So I watched that and went, all right, I better learn with that now when I go for a pee when I'm dressed up in a kilt. And I wore one and Dougie McFarlane, obviously, I always going to hire one off Dougie, or he chucks it at me. And
we got a picture here. I want to know who wore this better.
Oh, that wee kilt I've got is my towel. When I swim, I wrap that round my shorts so when I jump the car, my seat doesn't get wet. So that's my towel kilt. I think I carry that off all right, by the way.
Yeah. I that was actually where I was. I was in Aberdeen, up in the Hunter Valley.
That's coming up, I think.
Yeah, the Highland. I think it might have already been.
Has it just been?
I think so.
Yeah, there's one coming up or it's just been.
I used to love going up there. We used to have to get up there at the crack of dawn because they used to have the bagpipers, and there used to be about 3 or 4 different, clubs from bandpipe, and they'd all get together, and there's this field. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning, and we'd have the camera set up, and they'd be walking across towards playing Scotland the Brave, and the mist was coming up, from the ground. It gave you goosebumps. Yeah. I love going up there for that.
I've never been, but we'll have to go one time.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I said.
I don't know where to wear this kilt or wear my blue one.
Well, the cameraman, an old-time cameraman who's sadly not with us anymore, he said, if you're going to do a piece to camera, you got to do it properly. I went, what's that? He goes, get a kilt. I went, how's this going to go? I found it a little bit itchy down the bottom.
If I start scratching, you know what's happening then.
There's also too a good picture. I don't know. You did like a Highland fling. It was like a.
Oh, that was.
Oh, no, that's Team Scozzy.
That was Team Scozzy.
Let's stay with Team Scozzy. So, Team Scozzy, tell us about that. That's a early morning swim, isn't it?
Yeah. We put Ziggy Gordon going back 5-6 years when he was at the Mariners. He said, "Oh, do you fancy a swim?" So we swam. I'd always wanted to do it. All the years of being in Terrigal and going down the beach, I'd always saw the yellow buoy and never had the guts to do it because I'm an average swimmer. So we started doing it in that group now. We've got like 50 or 60 on the group chat. Yesterday they were free swim. A weekend in the summer you might get 20 swimming, Yeah. So we used to celebrate. We'd go out in Australia Day. We'd take the lamingtons out on my rubber duck and we'd feed everybody lamingtons at the buoy. Christmas Day we'd go out with the mince pies. St Andrew's Day we'd take the duck out and we'd feed the people. So we'd go out and celebrate. So we do social things as well, but it's just, we go down there. Even when I was at the Jets, we were there. It's the best bit of the day. You go down, clear you, and I know we'll talk about some issues later on, but that just cleared my head when I was struggling with the Jets, with the money. And that was going down there and having a swim at 6:30, just with your mates, talking rubbish, having a laugh, and then starting your day. And that was, and I still...
Good for your skin too, salt water.
Yeah, I'm actually 85, but I'm looking all right for 85. But no, I was meant to be down this morning, but it was we swim at 7 at the weekends. Yeah. Julie Goodwin swims with us when she can. David Farmer, the CEO of Council. Liesl Tesh was there last week. Liesl was there last week. So we get a few people dropping in as well. Yeah. And it's just good for your head, and it's just a great way to start the day.
Absolutely. We'll get back to this kilt thing. You have a knack of getting in the right position. That's the Highland fling. You were doing that while you were actually playing for Blacktown.
That was lucky. I've got knickers on in that one, and that one obviously that's good. My knee can't go up any further, or I could be exposing myself. But now we're celebrating, and that was in Kibble Park when I was the mayor the last time, and. Dougie, I think that was the drum. We're doing something with the Gosford Pipe Band at the time. And Dougie McFarlane, a lot of people don't know this, but when Jimmy Barnes is on stage with the piper, it's Dougie.
Oh, wow.
When the Wiggles are on stage with the piper, it's Dougie. People don't know that.
No,
and so
I never knew that.
Dougie goes on tour with them, and he does an amazing job, and he's got a great dance school on the Central Coast. Yeah. And as I said last week, there were 300 dancers from all over Australia and the coast doing their Highland dancing, and that looks as though it's against Bonnyrigg. Yeah, very acrobatic. I don't think he even pulled my hamstring after that. I think I was still in one piece.
But you're a RoboCop. Now, just with ACDC's coming out in the end of the year, do you be a good baggie for long way to the top if you want to rock and roll?
He can do all the tunes. They had a piper there last week, and he played You're the Voice for John Farnham. He was playing, it was amazing. And at the council meeting many, many years ago, he did Waltz and Matilda, came in, marched everybody in with Waltz and Matilda.
Have you ever had a go?
Yeah, so I did a thing for ABC. They were doing a story on overseas people who came to Australia and had involvement in football. So I was on there, and they had me trying to play the bagpipes, and
Slaughtered it.
I got a noise from it, but it was like a screaming haggis. You know, if you ever hear what a haggis sounds like when it's getting killed, it sounded something like that. But I got a noise from it, which Doogie said was actually good, that I actually got something. Because it's apparently pretty hard to get got a noise, but I can't play.
I want to get back to your love for Glasgow Rangers. Massive Rangers fan. Tell us about you at 18. You went on tour or something.
When I was 16.
16, you went and followed them?
So I left school, being a Rangers fan. I don't know why. I lived in Australia when I was 2 and went back when I was 5. And when I started primary school, I always remember telling my mum the day we're getting our pictures taken out the back door that I was going to play with Rangers. I was going to earn £100 a week, and I was going to give her £95 a week, dig money. And I don't even know why I was going to be a Rangers supporter. It was my mum and dad weren't religious. They weren't into football. Yeah. I don't know where it came from. So I started going to Rangers games when I was about 10. With my next door neighbour, Jim White, and his dad used to take me. And then I used to go in the supporters bus. And then when I was 16, I was working. I was going out with Christine. And I told Christine I was going to be working afternoon shift all week, so I wouldn't see her all week. And in those days, there were no mobile phones or that. And I went to Turin. I went to Rangers-Juventus game in Italy with the Rangers fans in the European Cup.
Wow.
Jumped on a bus in Glasgow, went up. This little spotty-faced 16-year-old going on this bus with all these people, scars, tattoos, knives down their trouser leg. And I'm like, what the fuck? You know, but I had the best time. So we went away, left on the Monday, got back on the Friday. Christine wasn't speaking to me. When I went up to her, I'd lost my voice. I couldn't speak. I only brung her back duty-free cigarettes, so she wasn't happy with that. And then the next round, I went to PSV Eindhoven, Rangers game over in Eindhoven, which was amazing. Bobby Russell scored the winner. It was the first time PSV had been beaten at home in a European competition. I was on the front page of the Daily Record the next day climbing the fence, you know, when they scored the third goal. They were a big fence, so we're all climbing the fence.
But did your parents get taken to docks going, what's a 16-year-old doing in Europe?
But in those days, 16, I look back now and you'll not see mum and dads putting kids on a bus at 16. I went to Europe. I was working at the time as well. I started work, and then the round after I went to Cologne. I went to Rangers Cologne game over in Germany, and I looked around one of the times and I'm saying, okay, that's my cousin. It's Jim Alexander from my village. And I went, I said, what are you doing here? He said, what are you doing here? He was in the army. And I never ever saw Jim. I see him on Facebook and I like him. He's a big Chelsea fan. He's down in London. But the next time I saw Jim was at my dad's funeral.
Wow.
He came up and it was amazing. I said, the last time I saw you was fucking, you're on top of a barrier, you know, standing, singing some song that shouldn't be getting sung.
You can sing it if you want. Do you remember?
It was probably The Sash My Father Wore or something like that. but you know, so I did that, and then I think the year after that I got engaged. Me and Christine got engaged, so she had me by the balls a wee bit. And then she fell pregnant, so obviously she did have me by the balls.
Do you think that European trip was the catalyst between getting married? We need to lock you. We need to lock you up.
I don't know. It just because I think the year after they weren't in Europe, and but it was just memories like up the top of the Eiffel Tower, and you know we stopped in Paris on the way back, and there's some 16-year-old, and we're up there, and you looked round the top, it was covered in Union Jacks, Rangers flags, because in those days it wasn't the safety issue. You know, if you want to hang a barrier, a banner over, it was covered in Union Jacks, and because I think they were a bit. And I always remember the return leg. It was 0-0 in Turin, and the return leg at Ibrox, because of snow, the game got delayed a day. And there were like 1,000 Juventus supporters had come over. Most of them flew over. With the Rangers ones, mostly were all poor asses. We got the bus. The game got delayed, so most of the supporters had to go back to Italy because the flight was
Yeah,
due the
yeah.
next day, and Rangers won 1-0, which was a huge result against Juventus.
Would you call yourself at the time a hooligan?
Not quite. I wasn't bad, but I was I wasn't. I was a young 16-year-old boy who went along with the crowd. Put it that way.
I actually know. It was a friend of mine, and he was from Glasgow, but he's a Celtic supporter, and he went to a game at where was it, at Ibrox. He couldn't get in. He couldn't get into the away fans. The Celtic away fans. This is when they were having, because at the moment I don't think
You only get a few hundred.
Yeah,
in there,
yeah. So he ended up smuggling his way into the Rangers home section with him and a mate. They're still, wearing plain clothes, He said it was the day Celtic beat Rangers 5-1. He said every time the ball went in the back of the net, he goes, we could just look at each other. We couldn't show any emotion because we would be killed.
Well, I've done it once at Celtic Park. Me and my brother went, and with no colours on. I had a blue shirt, just not like a chambray shirt, like a business shirt. And I had a jacket on, and nothing Rangers at all. But people, because I think me and my brother were really handsome looking, we looked like Protestants. And they're going, people were staring at us. And he'd a parka on, like a green parka, and with normal clothes, but people just knew.
Yeah.
But we sat there, and Rangers won that day at Celtic Park. But we never moved an inch because it's disrespectful. It's the same. Me and Christine, one night we were staying in the city. We watched the Mariners win the semi-finals or the final, the Rangers Celtic game, and the only place we could find close by our hotel was the Celtic pub. And we went in, and when I walked in, a lot of people knew who I was.
Yeah.
And they went, Lawrie, come here, and they taken us upstairs. They were really, it was packed to Celtic fan, and it was great. But when Rangers scored, there were Rangers fans upstairs with us started jumping about, and there were a bit of hustle and bustle going on. And Christian saying, "That's not right. They shouldn't be doing that." I said, "No, he shouldn't be doing that. If he's here, he should be respectful to where he is. He's a dickhead if he's making a noise like that. What does he expect? You have to be respectful."
But that would have been hard back then, especially when you're walking the streets of Glasgow. I mean, was it a case of, did you ever wear colours back then, or was it, so I'd be worried that you'd get spotted. Oh, hey, I know him, he's a Rangers man, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, when we went, because we just went in buses straight to Ibrox. We know, because we weren't from Glasgow, we never walked about the streets of Kilmarnock. We walked about the streets of our village.
Is it? I mean, in regards to your love for the Rangers, I think you've got a picture of a statue dog that you've got.
Yeah, that's Lenny. So Lenny's
big on your social media, by the way. So he should have his own account.
I bought that. He's quite big. I bought that for Christine's Valentine's Day one day. It's about 11
She
years
would have
ago.
been stoked.
Oh, and I think he's in pet. Look at his old fella. It's not very impressive either. But every now and again he'll have a Rangers strip on, or he'll have the Tammy on, or his Santa. But no, Lenny's he's sitting prima place. As you walk in the front door, you see Lenny straight away.
Just we're staying on the, I suppose, history with the Rangers. As you know, I'm an Adamstown Rosebud supporter. I've grown up, with the club. I played for the club. My grandparents had a lot to do with the club. And this was brought up by Simon Hill. There was a player, and I didn't even know this until, of all people, Simon Hill told me about that. There's a fellow by the name of Jimmy Jackson. I think there he is there. Now, Jimmy Jackson, he was born in 1875. Like yourself, his family emigrated from Scotland to Australia. Now, in 1989, he played for a club called Hamilton Athletic, which was in Newcastle, obviously defunct now, not here. Then he went to the mighty Adamstown Rosebuds in 1893. And then he got back on a boat, went back to Scotland, and played for Glasgow Rangers.
Didn't even know.
No, and it's amazing how history, like he went on and played for Newcastle United, Woolwich Arsenal, West Ham,
Some big clubs.
Port Glasgow in Athletic.
Port Glasgow, yeah.
Hamilton, Morton, Abercorn. Jimmy, it's just an amazing story. Jimmy's eldest son, James, played for Liverpool 200 times. His second son, Archie, played for Sunderland and Tranmere. His brother Andrew was capped for Scotland 20 times, while Jimmy's nephew Archie Jackson played Test cricket for Australia in 1929 with Don Bradman, and many believe he was on par with Sir Don before he died of tuberculosis, aged 23 years old. This guy played for Adamstown Rosebud, and we talk about history, and that's another thing too. There's a lot of clubs, and this is what Simon used to say to me. He go, a lot of these clubs, I go and host a lot of their 50-year or 100-year anniversary dinners, and a lot of the people at the clubs don't even know their history.
I'll tell you, one of the times at the Mariners, I was long gone before Newcastle Jets, and I'd always offer my services free to help them out, and they brought in a CEO, and I was going in the office one day, same office as I used to work at every day, and he said, I'm just letting you know, Lawrie, sorry to let you know this, but we've taken down all the pictures with you in it and all this, because all the success you had in those first 5 years is putting pressure on the people. So
that should inspire, shouldn't it?
Oh, you look at the history and want you want to look at that guy there, because you talk about Kevin Muscat, Tony Vidmar, Craig Moore, all playing with Rangers. The name of that guy should be up there as well. Yeah. Playing with Rangers all those years ago. In my opinion, because it's about the history of the club. You never forget where the clubs came from, and unfortunately now down the Central Coast, I'm really the only one who remembers all this stuff. Like when I went into my apartment block when I just moved in, one of the three founders of the club that get no recognition at all lives in my apartment block, and he's never been acknowledged once by the club.
Yeah. There was a time when you brought Simon and myself into the Jets when the club was in its, I suppose, final throes to do a bit of, I suppose, marketing, promotion, that sort of work. And that was another thing too. I think we only lasted a day because it was almost like I don't even think you had a full-time media manager.
We'd lost it. We didn't have anything. We had nothing at the finish up, and I was paying the bills. Yeah. And we kept all that quiet, and I've still not really come out publicly about it, and I'll do that one day. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that one day we were there, I remember the guy that was acting as the media manager was there, and I won't say his name. Ray Clements died. The great goalkeeper. Now, I found out that Phil Dando, who used to play for Kobe United, used to play at Liverpool reserves with Ray Clements, used to train with Ray Clements all the time. So I rang him up and he said, oh, yeah, he was great. He was the reason I could never play in the top team, It's a great little story. So I wrote this little story. I said to this guy, chuck it up on the website. What's this got to do with Newcastle Jets?
Yep.
History. Well, what do you mean? Well, Phil Dando played for KB United, just like KB United, Newcastle Rosebud United, the Newcastle Breakers. There's a history behind this club that we don't acknowledge, and he wouldn't put it up. And it was even other things in regards to we wanted to get on the website. That very first day, he said, oh, no, we've got to get it seen to by the A-League before we can even put it up. I'm like, this is your own website.
Yeah, it's just like council.
And that day, I think Simon took us out to the car park and he said, we need to have a talk. That was at lunchtime. He said, we can't take this money from Lawrie. I said, I know. I said, well, it wouldn't be right. I said, well, tell him to take this money and try and find a proper media manager. That's the least that needs to happen. I felt like we were the cherry on the cake. You didn't even have the icing at the time.
No, it was hard yards and trying to sell the club and going through it and close, and then when it got pulled out for under you, and it finally came, and then Sean Matevsky come in and I changed my roles for a few months, but it was just never the same. I just didn't want to be there. Yeah. And I had and the respect I got for the Newcastle fans was amazing. I had some great memories, and I know I came for the Mariners and then came there, and now I go to the Mariners game, but I was so lucky because the way I handled myself, I got the best of both worlds. The Jets fans, and that's before I put the money in. Just when we got up there and started doing what you're doing, getting in that grand final, and myself and Joe Griffiths, and it was just storybook stuff, you know.
I think there's some
achieved.
Great pictures where you're in the grandstand.
Ah, yeah.
Because again, it was almost like you could do no wrong. You came in, and when you were doing this, I think you said where you're in the stand drinking, guzzling beer. Like, how can you get? I saw that. I thought, oh my God, that'd be pissing off the Central Coast boys.
Oh, me and Joe pissed them off a couple of times, but that one, we played the youth team. So me and Labby were the coach of the youth team, and we'd played that night up at Hamilton, I think Hamilton Olympic. And I shot down the road, and Labby shot down the road, and I got there, and the stadium, because I know the stadium, they said, no, just come in and go underneath the grandstand and go around to the Jets fans. So we got in, got to the ground, and I don't drink. And they said, Lawrie, you have to have a beer, I said, I don't drink, but they got it. But then what happened, I started sipping it, and that's when Roy O'Donovan, that's when it was like 8-2 or something. And we scored the goal just straight after that, so I could launch it. So I've tossed it. I said, thank fuck for that. But then one of the boys came up to me who was standing in front of me, says, Lawrie, do you want a donut? Because he had a packet. He'd bought 6 donuts and they had out of Woolies. I said, yeah, give me a donut. So I had a donut taking a dry up my beer taste in my mouth. But that was that 8-2 game when Roy, I think, scored the hat trick. And it was a great. Me and Joe had some really good times with the fans, and I remember.
In saying that too, that's important to do that, wasn't it?
Big time. I remember we went to Brisbane with about 80 fans up there, and that's when we beat them. We were up 3-1 or something, and at half time, I went round and I bought every supporter a drink. And not the club didn't buy them a drink. I bought them a drink, but the problem is you could only get 4 drinks at a time. So I brung up some of the boys. So I had runners doing. I had to pay every 4 beers. So they were doing. That was up at it was at Suncorp, but the big one me and Joe did, and we had it set up with the Mariners. The big flag we've got, it's like a 10-metre big gold flag. Somebody had left it with the club. And I'd spoke to Sean Meikle-Camp. I said, can we do a bit take the piss? Because the Derby game was coming up a few days later, and they were playing, I think, Adelaide United, and they're playing Adelaide United in the FA Cup. So me and Joe snuck the flag in, and we were in the grandstand where nobody was in it. And there it is. And we told Fox about it. And Fox were ready just before the game kicked off. Me and Joe's pulled it down. We got the security guard was helping us, and Joe did a little dance because Billy, his son, he says, Dad, if you get on the TV, can you do the little whatever the dance was? He was at the back doing the dance, and we got hammered. The fans hammered us, but it was just geeing up about the Derby game because I remember the days, the first tackle you used to. Somebody was Hutch and Joe was at it. We were going to games at that stage. They weren't a booking in the first half. You know what I mean? You're going, this is a derby.
Wasn't the very first game? It was a pre-season game where was it Durante broke his leg?
That was the cup. That was the world. That was the cup competition. We had to play off to get in the world. No, it was Nick Merger broke Durante's leg.
That's right.
On the halfway line.
Yeah,
it was
and
a bad
that was
tackle.
like the real start of
that. Was the start. It started.
As terrible as it was it was great for the rivalry. Also, too, I got to ask you something that we'll watch this first. It's you're at a luncheon, and I think it's the first probably about a couple of minutes. So we'll watch this.
So please welcome Lawrie McKinna.
Thanks for inviting me today. And on Steve's talk, I wasn't going to mention something like this after Haig's talk as well. When obviously the Jets, there's been a bit of turmoil going on about new owners and the old owner not putting in money. being an ex-player and you think you're indestructible. That's what you're talking about. The men, we're indestructible. We can do what we want. You know, I'm 59 now. I think I'm still 20 odd, and I can do what I did in those days. And I don't drink, so I'm fortunate enough that way. I don't have a hangover, or I don't drink a six-pack. But I was indestructible. Still think, you still feel as though you are until you actually try to do something physical and exert yourself. But over the last probably year and a half, been trying to sell the club. I've stopped sleeping at night. Like, my sleeping pattern's absolute shit. And I got sleeping tablets for it because my head's ticking over all the time. Are we going to get a buyer? Are we going to be able to pay the bills this week? Are we going to be able to do this, going to that? And it started affecting me, but I was going about going, there's nothing wrong with me, I'm all right. Got sleeping tablets. That started helping a wee bit. I got in the routine. I was exercising, doing all that stuff. I started swimming in the morning to just clear my head, to do something every morning because I couldn't walk because my knees were done. Started to feel better. But just a funny story, on the sleeping tablets, still on them, so I go to bed at night. I sometimes talk to my wife because it just knocks me out, I can't remember, but a few weeks ago she texted me in the morning at 7 o'clock and said, guess what you've done? Or she phoned and I said, what's wrong? 7 o'clock in the morning, what have I done? She says, can you not remember? I went, I've not remembered. No, I don't. She said, you've pissed all over the dining room table. So the sleeping tablets, I couldn't remember. I've got up. It was a brand new table out of Nick Scally's. I've peed all over my books and I missed my computer, which is lucky because the Jets don't have money to buy a new one. And I says, you're taking the piss, excuse the pun. And she says, you did. I said, but I got up this morning, I had my breakfast before I left. I never noticed, but I did. A few weeks later, she got up and was in the bath, standing in the bath in the ensuite, and I've no idea. And she's went, what are you doing? I said, I'm standing in the bath. But I can't even remember that. And then last week I peed in the ensuite floor. So what I'm trying to tell you, don't invite me over to stay. And this morning she says, I was in the cupboards last night, so I'm not sure what I've done, but she got me, so what we do now, we lock the bedroom door at night. So we lock it so it makes a noise when I go out, so just in case it's knocking me out. But on what you were saying, Steve, it's obviously affected me. I thought, I'm not going to talk to anybody about it, because I'm a man. And I want to hold it in, but I can't sleep, and it's because my head's not shutting off, it's racing, and that's how I'm getting through it just now. So I just...
So Lawrie, first of all, is this table in trouble? And secondly...
Well, it's going to be an easy one because I've no knickers on.
But it just shows, you said it in comedy, but that just shows how much pressure and stress you were under at the time, didn't it?
And like, it's actually funny watching that now because, you know, I've come out the other end. But at that time, like, it wasn't just the weight of the world on me, you know, it was the weight of Newcastle Jets, the supporters, the members, the players, my family. It was, I just taken it on me, and you just need, that's why people need to, I'm a big advocate for mental health and helping people, and because you can't keep it all to yourself, you have to talk about it. But I got to a stage where, because I was talking about it all day, that's where going in the swimming in the morning, because I'd go home to my wife and she'd go, what's happened today? And I wouldn't want to talk about it. I said, I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk. But I'd talk to everybody else, and I felt bad because I wasn't talking to her, you know. And she's the one that should have been talking. She's the one that's stuck up with me, pissing in cupboards and pissing in... Now, I'd forgot about the bath one. I was standing there, so I'm in the bath. Why? I had no idea how I got in the bath. And now you look at when people do things to themselves, how easy it is, because I had no idea what I was doing then. It was just the pressure of, one thing is, because I'm big and proud, and you don't, I've had an okay career and become the mayor and done this, and everybody thinks it's all bells and whistles. But behind the scenes sometimes it's not bells and whistles, and people need to speak up about it and get help on it and talk to people.
At the time, you felt the weight of the world, you didn't want this club to fall down on your watch?
No, definitely. And especially what we achieved like early doors. I think we went to like 11,600 members within. You know, the place was flying. It was buzzing. The squadron was back. We had all sorts happening. We had the first regional grand final.
Yeah.
Sellout crowd, and then that wasn't even an easy week because our members couldn't get tickets, you know, so we had to work our asses off to get extra tickets for the A-League from all the other clubs to give to people who couldn't get tickets, and instead of enjoying that ride, and then obviously we lost in it.
The place was packed, wasn't it? Like, and I suppose
So here they come.
you got ripped off in the end, didn't you?
Oh, no. Okay, you'd VAR broke for 30 seconds. But surely still, that muppet on the far side should see that it's offside.
Yeah. Scroll it down to the... I mean... Look at that crowd.
Yeah.
I mean... After that night, did you envisage how it would all turn to shit though? But
even here was at the end of it, because of the goal was offside and it shouldn't have been a goal. It was, you know, just dealing with it. And then that next day I got a phone call. We never mentioned it in the press conference. We never went on about it. And then Roy O'Donovan went for the ball, in my opinion. Never even looked to see where the goalkeeper was. Apologised, got suspended.
he was out for a while too.
He was out for a while. But you look, and that's just after he'd his eye socket fractured up the other end.
Yeah.
He just, you know, and it was hard. But the next day I got the phone call, oh, we're going to come out and for Gregor Rock for FFA, we're going to come out. I said, why are you going to say anything? Are you going to give us a replay?
Yeah.
Because they admit it. The linesman the linesman should have flagged.
Yeah.
30 seconds, the VAR broke down. Well, if you're going to bring it up, give us a replay. Oh, we can't do that. Well, don't bring it up then, because then they brung it up, and then we had 2 or 3 different groups of fans getting lawyers involved, and it was a shit fight.
Yeah.
You know, it was much the same as when the Jets beat the Mariners when I was a coach, when Danny gets sent off, and you know, and you can't, and then you go.
It was like history repeating itself.
Yeah, it wasn't a nice. You go there and you want to hold your dignity, and you don't want to say things and bring the game into disrepute, but it's just disappointing, you know, because it was clearly offside, and everybody knows it was offside.
When was the last time you spoke to Martin Lee?
A long time. I speak to Kenny as one of his management team, because I actually spoke to Kenny, who actually called me to say, look, I think you can maybe get some money for Martin Lee. And I wrote a big email, because I actually saved him so that people never sued him. So actually, when we went into liquidation, that we could have chased him, but he came back and said. So I speak to Kenny now and again, but I've not spoke to him for quite a few years.
What would you say to him if you?
Like, he came in, I was involved in getting him to buy the club. I've not really got nothing to say to him. I don't wish him bad, because he put a lot of money into the club.
But at the same time, too, you know, you were left holding the can. I mean, how much was 375,000?
375, and because I was a director of the club, my entitlements when the club went in, because I was still a director, holiday leave, all this stuff was an extra 300 grand, all my entitlements. Everybody got paid out at the club apart from me. So it's basically 675 grand.
Wow. I mean, that would have been draining on you, you know, I mean, you could have come out in the press and told a lot of people about this.
Well, I was told.
Were you just sort of hanging on to hope that he would?
No, I knew he wouldn't pay it. I was told the A-League would pay it. The owners would pay it that came in. Because apparently the owners who taken on the club had told the rest of the A-League clubs I'd get looked after, which I never.
Yeah. What I mean, a lot of business deals went wrong for him, but owning an A-League club isn't easy, isn't it? You know, a lot of costs. And I remember when I used to work for Constantine. You know, I used to work for the newspaper that he owned, so I worked fairly close to him. And he used to tell us, you know, like when they won the grand final against, you know, the Mariners in the Asian Champions League, he said straight away, he said, we've got to buy. We're in this Asian Champions League. We've got to buy like 12 new strips, because what does a player do at the end of the game? They swap shirts, they swap shorts, you know, all that sort of stuff. Airfare, you know, flights, accommodation, all that sort of stuff.
We were about 200 grand the next year.
Yeah.
But we went out when again the Champions League and with Newcastle webpage, we got $1,000. We went out and we got 120 grand major sponsor, which was Newcastle. So we went, businesses gave us 1,000. I attained 2 of them because you got strips where all the names were in it, and it was a nice feel-good thing. But getting in the Asian Cup that year cost the Jets lots of money. And the big thing for Martin Lee, the Chinese government made it hard to get money out of China.
Yes.
And because at one stage we were getting it via one of his partners in Hong Kong. So he would pay him and he was paying us, you know, so it was getting money round the corner a bit.
Yeah.
And then it just dried up. He just says, I'm not paying anymore. He just basically walked away. But I wasn't surprised because he had a Chinese team in the 3rd division that he was trying to sell, and he had got concrete offer for it, but because it wasn't what he wanted, he just shut the club up and wound it up.
Did he actually say that, or did he just ghost you? Was that, did he actually
no,
say, I'm walking away?
He didn't say he was walking away. He just says, I can't pay any money, and just basically left me hanging. So, and then the stadium was probably, we owed the stadium about 75 grand at the time.
Yeah.
And that was the first big one, or we weren't going to get playing games, and I paid the 75 grand because I honestly thought I was going to get the money.
I mean, even things, I mean, running an A-League club, again, you know, back to when I was doing stuff with Connie, he actually hired me for a day a week trying to sell corporate boxes and sponsorship, which I didn't mind. It was something different. But the thing that, this is way back, you know, again, about 2008, 2009, that I didn't realise was that they gave us this running sheet. They said, you're not allowed to approach any drink companies. And I said, why is that? They said, well, Solo's one of our major sponsors. And I said, okay, well, don't go to soft drinks. No, don't get, so I can't go to milk or orange juice. No, nothing to do with drink. We've got Solo. Okay. Oh, don't go to, you know, and I was going to go up to the Newcastle airport and see whether one of the carriers would sponsor. No, you can't do that. Yeah. Qantas is our major sponsor. Yeah. All of a sudden, they're narrowing the playing field down. So this is at the time a competition that wants a club to be self-sufficient, but then they've got these stipulations. Oh, but you can't go to this because it could interfere with our major sponsors. It's a bit, and if you're an owner and you sort of go, hang on, I'm already pouring money into this. Now you don't want me to try and be self-sufficient. No wonder they walk away.
No, it's hard because it's still the same, especially Asian Cup. Asian Cup, you're only allowed one. So every person who gave us $1,000, we was going to play, we had their name embossed because I'd bought a Kilmarnock strip once that had my name on it. It was all the former players. Quite cool, you know, it just two-tone.
Yeah.
So every sponsor, 120 sponsors, would have their name in the Asian Cup jersey. The Asian Football Confederation saw that as 120 sponsors. So we couldn't actually, so the jersey we played in never had the names, but the replica one they got had the names. But it was just something like that. It was just so, and talking about drinks with Asian Cup, because they're sponsored, you could not have another drink on the bench unless it was some water brand, I can't remember. You had to have theirs.
Yeah.
You couldn't, it was very, very strict.
Even match days, you know, I mean, a lot of people don't even realise before a match even starts, the stipulations in regards to signage, everything like that a club has to worry about.
Yeah,
and again, manpower that obviously have to be paid for.
Yeah. No, so when it comes to signage and that for the clubs, FFA or now the APL get a certain amount of it for their sponsors, and then the rest goes to the club.
So it's something a little bit different. You were at the Jets when the Mariners signed a bit of a celebrity. Usain Bolt. Is he the one that got away, Lawrie?
No. So I remember we played the Jets pre-season at Maitland, and because they just signed, we got over 4,000 at the game. And he sat on the bench, wasn't he playing? Sat on the bench. Great to get people at the game, great. And every day I used to drive up from the coast. I would pass the van, the Optus van that had him on the side. Every day I was passing, Jesus. But my mum phoned me one day from Scotland and went, "Why did you not sign Usain Bolt?" I went, "What are you talking about, Mum?" She said, "Oh, my pal," because it was all over the news in the UK. It was everywhere. And I know her at that time would be 80-year-old women going, "Oh, is that Laurie's team?" Because they knew I used to coach them. But that was the worldwide coverage. But nah, it wasn't the one that got away. And I remember watching them. We played in the game at Central Coast Stadium, a friendly game. And it got the crowd up. But then I remember they was playing at out at Campbelltown.
Yes.
And I think McBrain was the commentator, and I'm texting him, "Why can you not tell the truth about him?" And he said, "We're not allowed to."
Yeah.
But then Bosnich came out the next day, and Boz slated him. Because
I felt sorry for Mike Mulvey because I was at that press conference. It was inside the Central Coast Leagues Club. Never seen a throng of journalists, massive. I felt sorry for Mike Mulvey because he had to sit there and just bullshit his way through that. And at the time I'm thinking, and he's a credible coach. His credibility's going down the gurgler, all because they wanted to, use him as a billboard.
And they wanted to get him as a marquee player, and quite rightly so. FFA said, "No, he's not. He's a marquee runner. He's not a marquee player." But I remember I talked to quite a few of the boys. They went into that season totally underdone because at training the training tempo wasn't as normal because he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So in training with the first team, the tempo was down so he could actually take part in training and stuff like that. I honestly believe the team wasn't fit when it went into the season.
Yeah.
And they had a very poor season.
I remember, I was at Channel 10 at the time. I was going up all morning doing live crosses to morning shows and things like that. There was this fascination about Usain Bolt. And again, it got the worldwide attention. But it was mostly you're watching him going, he's just not good enough. It's just like he hasn't got the touch. He's fast if he's running straight, but he didn't have the angles.
But even off the mark, it was because he's used to off blocks and that. Yeah, he's an athlete, but it's totally different.
I'll tell you the funniest story. So I had enough. I was up there for about 3 days in a row. I had enough. I think it was my day off. So they sent up another guy called Ben Hammerley from Channel 10, who's still there to this day, very good journalist. But he thought he'd do something different because they had a trial game against, it might have been Killarney Vale. It was a local Central Coast team.
That was at the stadium. That was the one I was talking about.
Yeah, and it was funny. So Bence went to the club that he was playing against, this Killarney Vale. I think it was Killarney Vale.
I can't remember. It was a local team.
So he thought he'd get the guy that would be marking Usain Bolt. And to sort of go, what's it like to be marking the fastest man on earth, And this guy come out. He said, he actually showed me the next day. He put the tape in. He goes, "Look at this guy. He was the most gangly sort of guy. He had Coke bottle glasses, and he got asked, so what are you going to do? How are you going to stop the fastest man in the world?" And he looked down the barrel and he said, "He can't run without legs."
Well, I don't think he get kicked too much that night because he never actually got the ball that many times.
This isn't just a gym. It's where limits get broken. A place where community comes together, sweat turns into strength, and every drop is progress. No excuses, no egos, just results. Join Fitstop Newcastle today, a start to a better you. You were the first son of Lawrence and Jessie McKinna. You were the only two of your when your parents came out to Australia. You're only out here for a couple of years, and then you went back. So What was
just
that?
never settled. We moved out to Sydney, stayed down at, we was in the hostel at East Hills, and then we stayed down Heathcote Way, we stayed down there, and we just never settled. Then we stayed 2 years, then went to New Zealand for 6 months, never settled there. And we went back to Scotland, and I started primary school with an Aussie accent, because that's when Skippy was really big, and everybody wanted me to speak like.
You look like the kid from Skippy on that.
Was his name? Is it Sandy?
I think it was Sandy. Yeah.
So we went back to Scotland, and I had speech elocution lessons for 2 years because my accent was all over the place. And when I came here, my boys were 5 and 2 when I came here. And my oldest boy started at school, and he'd speech elocution lessons because he had the broad Scottish accent. So yeah, I came here when I was 2 and went back when I was 5.
Yeah, your dad was a bus driver. Was he a character?
Yeah, no, he was like a poacher as well. He used to poach, but he used to occasionally get the Kilmarnock team bus. So that was quite cool for him to drive the team bus about. So, but I remember one time he had us for the Scottish Cup tie up at Inverness, and the game had got abandoned. The game had been cancelled the week before because of snow, and went up midweek, and it was freezing. We stayed in this old kind of castle thing, and it's freezing. And we'd signed a player called Blair Miller. He was a striker. He was on loan in the club. I think it was 30,000 quid they paid for him, because they were going to get, if they beat Inverness, were like non-league at the time. And the winner played Celtic, so it's a big crowd, and it was like 50-50 the gates in, so they'll pay for the transfer. And we got beat 1-0. The fans wanted to lunches because a lot of Kilmarnock supporters went up, and he was driving the bus, and it wasn't nice. So he was, when he came back from Scotland, when he came back from Australia, it was hard, and he worked in Monsanto, a big factory, but then he was on the buses for quite a while. But he was. The McKinna family was renowned poachers, so he'd be out shooting rabbits, shooting pheasants, poaching salmon, and I used to have to run in to make sure there were no cops in the hotels or that when he was selling the salmon to the hotels, and so it was good growing up in Scotland.
Did he have the gift of the gab like you?
Ah, yeah, he was decent.
What I loved about you is that you seemed to like that Maitland Chamber meeting we saw before. You just get up and talk. There's no notes. It's very hard to, like, most people shit themselves. You just get up there and just talk.
I did, as long as I usually like to start with a laugh, because I know you can go, a lot of stuff I do with the council now, I do off notes, but then I go off on my own wee tangent, because I bring it back into real life, what I've done, how it affects me.
Yeah.
I did one on Saturday night. They're opening up the fun house in Gosford. They had a fun house. They've made it in a bank. 150 people there queued up the street in Gosford on a Friday night. It was good, and I could only go in for the opening and had to leave. But all biodiversity, it's all LGBT. Anybody can go there. It's a safe place for people. They're going to have bands. It was a great night.
Yeah.
And I got up and just to swim a wee bit, and it was all about. I've moved into Gosford now, and part of it's great to see something happening in Gosford, all the building, all this, but it's important people feel safe where they are. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what you are, who you are, I don't care. I'm just me.
Yep.
And I said, where's Colin? Because one of my neighbours was in, I saw one of my older neighbours. I said, there's Colin over there. I said, I'm going home tonight to walk my wee dog at 9:30. I said, and I'll be out there the night with my Ugg boot slippers, my pyjamas on, and you know what? I don't give a fuck, because that's me. And I don't care who sees me. Oh, the mayor's wearing his pyjamas. I don't give a fuck. And everybody was pissing themselves laughing, because I'm comfortable who I am. I don't need to be anybody else. I'm just Lawrie. I'm the boy from Galston, my wee village. I'm the mayor, and I'll go and meet the Premier this week. I've got to meet with him later in the week, and blah, 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 blah. They'll piss and shit the same as me. But
I've said that before.
But he's a top guy when I'm in seeing him. But it was just important the other night to let people know it doesn't matter who you are or what you're dressed. There are a couple of big guys, 7 feet tall, like done up transvestite guy.
Yeah.
Or the makeup. I'm like going, fucking good on you. He's down the street of Gosford. You don't see that.
Yeah.
And it's obviously there. So this is an opportunity for people to come and enjoy themselves.
You would have got a standing ovation for that. It's funny when you said that, because I think I was in a newsroom once, and I was so busy. I had that much work on, and Bob Carr, I think was the Premier at the time, he was coming to Gosford. I think it was Bob Carr. And so the Premier's coming to town, and there was a young girl. She'd only just started, and I said, "You're going to have to go interview the Premier." And she shit herself. She's like, "Oh, my God, the Premier." And that's exactly what I said. I said, "He pisses and shits just like you and me." And I think she just went, "Oh, I never thought of it like that."
Well, that time when I dealt with Julia Gillard on the phone, and when I had the missed call, I phoned her back, Mrs. Prime Minister, she said, "Lawrie, just call me Julia, blah, blah, blah." End of that season, the Mariners played Wanderers in the grand final. One of the big English ex-Man City player, did a bit of women's coaching down at Apia. His daughter played with
Spencer Pryor?
Big Spencer. He came up and said, "Big man, can you get us a picture with the Prime Minister?" And this, I'd met her earlier. I'd said hello before. Yeah, it was just before the game. So, and because it was for his missus and him. Yeah, come on. I said, and her helper was just taking her away. I said, "Oh, excuse me, Mrs. Prime Minister, can we get a quick selfie?" And she's gone, "Yeah." And we have to go. And she went, no, done it. So we got me, the two of them in it, and he still goes on about that.
I bet he does.
She is just normal.
Yeah.
She was a nice lady, gave you her time, and that's what people say about me. You always give somebody time, and you have it. And well, I'm just that size. She's that size.
Spencer Pryor, he reminds me of the Dennis Waterman that played Minder.
Oh yeah.
You know,
But Big Spencer, because his daughter, she was at the Jets, the women's team for a couple of years.
Yeah. Now you're a father at the age of 18. That would have made you grow up pretty fast, wouldn't it?
That's when I became sensible.
It would have been.
Yeah, when
you just come back from a Rangers European tour.
when Christine said she was pregnant, it was like, you can't be. And then she went and got tests, and she was pregnant, and then I told my mum and dad, and I can remember sitting in the wee kitchen at the back telling them, and that was all right. But Christine's older sister had fell pregnant when she was 16, and they'd went through it, and she got married and everything, and it was like, wow. And I got on really well with her mum and dad, and telling her, and her dad was a plumber and a big Kilmarnock supporter, so me playing with Kilmarnock was amazing. I was 19 when I signed with Kilmarnock, so I was married then. But I was up there to tell him, and I waited till he left, because plumbers always get home jobs, so he was going out to fix somebody's washing machine. And I walked through, and Anne, yeah, Christine's pregnant. Oh, she can't be. She is. So then there was like a silence for weeks, and then we came up to the house one night, and their friends, Jimmy Patterson and his wife, were there. They would have a few whiskies, and they heard the door, and it was, "Send in the bull." The bull meaning the bull, because I just. So we went through, and they'd been talking about it, and it was all done. The wedding plan was done. Everything was done. It was all great, and we stayed with mum and dad for a wee while till a wee council house was ready. Yeah. And we moved into a wee 2-bedroom council house, and then because I then signed with Kilmarnock, I was earning an extra 50% of my wages. So I was earning my wages, working overtime, driving a van. I was a lace weaver when I left the school, but at that time I was driving a van. And so I was earning 50% more, and we bought a little cottage, and we stayed in there until we came to Australia. And when we left to come to Australia, we sold it, and that's what gave us a fair bit of money to come out here.
It's incredible too. I mean, these days, if someone fell pregnant, you're 18, very rarely does that relationship stands the test of time these days. It just shows the bond that you and Christine have.
Yeah, and it's never been easy. Obviously, with football here and always having to work and travelling. Like when I used to work with ASICS, I was all over the state, and then later on done a lot of travelling all over the world. So it's never been easy. Christine, I think we've moved house maybe 20 times.
It's sort of better to say, like,
about 18 of them, Christine's had to do it herself.
I mean, again, being a football person, whether you're being a player or a manager, you're doing a lot of travelling.
Doing a lot of travelling, But she's always, and she goes through phases that she comes. At the Jets, she was loving it. At times at the Mariners, now she doesn't come to a lot of games. She goes through, it's the same with the council stuff. She's made a couple of appearances this year, but not many. I take the piss and call the mayoress. She hates it. She hates it.
But did she ever go, for God's sake, Lawrie, can we just stay somewhere? Can we just...
Well, when we came back from China, we bought the house in Terrigal, and we loved the house in Terrigal. Double doors at the front, so Christine always reckoned when I came in my wheelchair I could get in. With double doors to our bedroom, so again the wheelchair could get in there easy. It was going to be our house for life, and then
it's not a council funded wheelchair ramp.
No, we never. When I could get in, I would be able to get in without it. So we had a lovely house, nice area, but because what happened to the Jets, and because I went from having no mortgage to having, and obviously not working for a year, and all of a sudden having a $500,000 mortgage.
Yeah.
We had to make a decision about moving, and thanks to all the owners who taken the Jets were meant to pay me back, we had to sell the house. We didn't have to sell the house.
Yeah.
I was travelling up and down to Sydney Olympic. I was getting well paid.
Yeah.
4 or 5 days a week in Sydney was killing me, driving.
Absolutely.
It was an hour and 3/4 to Belmore to the office at best.
Yeah. Do you still do anything with them?
A little bit, but not much. Just with the mayor stuff, it's too busy.
Yeah.
So it was like, can't keep working the way I'm working, Chrissy. We need to set. So it took a while, and then we found this big apartment that she liked and went in, and that was just to clear debts that I got through the Jets.
Did you go to every Kilmarnock game you played?
Yes, she used to go with the kids. She used to go with the boys. I think you'll probably have a picture of the boys being the mascot.
I think
no, I still keep in touch with a few of these boys. Be Jimmy Clarke and Kobe. I'll see them when I go back. John McClurg at the back. I keep next to me. I keep in touch with him.
Would that have been the team? You just played Aberdeen once, and
yeah, that would
you
be
scored
team. I scored a goal. I set up the goal at Pitaudry for the draw, and then
they were a pretty good Aberdeen side.
That was that's when Ferguson was the coach.
Yeah,
we played them. When I was back a couple of years ago, it was the first time they played them since 1986. So I scored. Jim Leighton was international goalkeeper, Willie Miller international defender, Doug Rugby international.
Gordon Strachan,
what a player he was on the park, and he just took the piss. He never shut his mouth. He was just talked all game. Alex McLeish.
Yeah.
You know, there were about 7 internationals in the team.
And I think they won the Cup Winners' Cup.
Won the Cup Winners' Cup. We get beat 3-1 in the replay. I went up like a salmon at the back post. It hurt my shoulder. I'm in the top corner, so I better claim it. You know, it's not everybody can say scored against Alex.
Can't believe Fergie didn't sign you after that.
He wasn't a good judge.
Now, you come to Australia after playing for Kilmarnock, age 25. That would have been a massive step to come to Australia.
Biggest step of your life. You know, we just had this feeling. We just unsettled. I was working. I was never full-time, working, playing football. Had another year of my contract left, and then the opportunity to come to a State League club in Melbourne, and they paid for everything to come out, and we came out to Box Hill and really looked after us. I scored a few goals, and then they sold me to Heidelberg for $7,000 at the end of the season in the old National League.
Yeah.
And I finished their top goal scorer, and they sold me they got relegated, and they sold me to Apia for $10,000.
Yeah. At Heidelberg, I mean, that was a fairly good team too.
Yeah.
Jeff Oliver in goals.
Jeff Oliver, Theo Selamidis, that's John Anastasiadis there. In the background there's Peter Salakis. You know, I think we won the pre-season cup. I think we won the pre-season, but we didn't have a good season. They got relegated.
Was it back then? I mean, you've gone from the Scottish competition, which was a rough and tough competition. NSL was pretty...
That was rough and tough.
You know? Like,
so you would
have loved that.
Yeah, it was just like you never had the pristine parks. As you can see, that one there, that picture with my back number 9 on it, that's Olympic Park, which was the best football ground in Australia at the time. You went to Preston, Macedonia and stuff. They were like ploughed fields, you know. It wasn't easy, and at that time it was brutal. And a lot of the defenders were ex-Scottish defenders or English boys. There were a lot of British boys came out round about the 80s. And the game was tough. It was really, really physical.
I think we got some vision of a. You played a big part in this goal. It's the start of a game against.
Jeff Oliver, he's an international goalkeeper.
From 1980 to 87. Facing him in the South Melbourne attack was
I think Ange also played in this too.
Yeah, Ange played.
Fresh from scoring in Australia's World
So
Cup
Trimboli, he was a good player.
Now you played a big part in this first goal.
I've not saw this footage.
Here we
There
go.
was a minute's
Hang on.
silence for those who fell at Hillsborough. But just 14 seconds after the kickoff,
Good touch by Lawrie.
Palace fans were in full voice. Back in the Alexander lineup
That's
for the first time
Stevie
in a month
Marley,
and a
the
half,
one with the hair
fullback
and the
Peter
mullet.
Bordignon was looking to give his new keeper an early touch, but let Kim Taliadoris in instead.
What a great start.
Came on, great
The
start.
21-year-old was on the score sheet for the fourth match in a row.
So is that my contribution? I'm not taking any.
Mate,
I'm not taking any cop for
I
that one.
trawled the internet for some Lawrie McKinna magic, and, I got you kicking off.
I've got one against South Melbourne. There's one there, and it was like a left foot outside the box in the top corner.
You did score some goals.
I was never a prolific goal scorer. I scored, I think in Scotland I scored 17 in 87 games. A highlight of one of the years, Christine's mum and dad came out and they brought the book of Clydesdale book of Scottish football, which was all the stats, and I was the most used substitute in Scottish football. I was so proud of myself.
At least you got something. It was funny, but it was even the crowds back then. It was quicker they did there. You were pretty much as soon as you finished the game, you had to get off that ground, didn't you?
There were a lot. It depends who you played against. You know, it was like my first game in the National League was Heidelberg versus Preston. Preston are the Macedonians
Greeks and Macedonians.
the Greeks who I never knew didn't like each other.
Yeah,
Just come out for Scotland. I'm dealing with Catholics and Protestants not liking each other.
Yeah.
We had to get the bus. I'm going, why are we getting a bus? I said, oh no. And we got off the bus at Connor Reserve and they had the cops on the horses. It was just like being at Rangers Celtic. I'm going, what's going on here? I said, oh, they hate each other. And then I got, over the years, you get a bit of history. But no, there used to be some big crowds. There were a lot of the old diehards say, oh, yeah, the crowds were great. But then there were a lot of other ones like Blacktown. We never got many. Green Gully, you'd have a few hundred. So it depends how the team was doing and stuff like that.
It's a good story. Gary Van Egmond once told us, it was before a press conference, we used to sit around and talk. And Gary, before he went to Marconi, he played for Footscray.
I was going to say Footscray just.
And it was funny, I think I'm positive it was against Heidelberg. And he said we were playing and it was pretty hostile. He goes, Heidelberg was shitting all over us, but I just couldn't score. We scored this lucky goal with about 10 to go. All of a sudden, you could feel, when you're on the field, you can sort of feel people aren't happy here. He said, as soon as the final whistle went, he said, we go down the race, into the tunnel. And our trainers or our coaching staff had already put all our bags onto the bus. He said, we walked straight, don't go into the change rooms, we walked straight out the back and onto the team bus in our kit. And all of a sudden, we're safe, He said, back then too, we have an esky full of tinnies, beer, He said, we used to have a guy called Ken Murphy.
I know Ken,
the
Scottish guy.
Yeah. And he, we'd always be cracking open. He said, we get on this bus and straight away, Kenny, he's cracking one open. He said, but the crowd realised what was happening. They come around the back of the bus, and they're like rocking the bus and throwing, He goes, and Gary Van Egmond's going, I'm this young bloke, I'm just shitting myself, All of a sudden he said, well, we're driving out, and all of a sudden you hear the bus driver go, oh, shit. Well, what's wrong? He looked at it. There was the guy, the gate man, closed the gate and put the padlock on. And the bus driver said, hold on to your hats. He said it was like a scene from Escape to Victory. You vroom, 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 and went straight at the guy on the gate had to jump out of the way. The gates burst open. We went up, and Kenny Murphy's on the back going, hey, you're spilling my bevy.
No, I never. We'd won at Heidelberg versus Sunshine George Cross, who's the Maltese club.
Yep.
And then I think it was Chris Bainbridge, who was a top referee in the time. The police had to reverse the van into the back of dressing rooms to get them out because the Maltesers, or the little midgets, were all chasing them, trying to get them. And it happened to me in China once when we came out at the end of the game and they were rocking the buses. And I'm at the window giving them fuck you. And they're like, no, and shutting the windows, don't. But they were, because we beat them.
Yeah.
It was...
Now you went to, after that, as you mentioned, you went to Apia. You met a really good mate called Darren Stewart.
Yeah, Dan, when I came up for pre-season, I came up for a couple of weeks before Christmas, and Dan was one of the young ones, younger than me, and then Dan actually moved in with me and Christine. So when to save him travelling up and down to Newcastle all the time, Dan stayed at my house. When it was the same when I had my little spell at the Breakers, I stayed at Dan's house.
Yeah.
And that's why Dan's mum and dad were like our mum and
Yeah.
Aussie mum and dad. So Darren, and what a player, you know.
Great player.
This boy, big boy, strong,
Played
brave.
about 3 or 4 games for the Socceroos.
Yeah. But he was a winner, you know, the biggest ticker, and he was scary in full flight. He's got short hair there, but when he used to have the mullet,
Yes, I remember him with a mullet.
he was a scary beast when he was running at you.
Gone too soon.
Very soon. I think that picture's when I'm in Singapore.
I think it was another one with a book. So
Yeah, that's him when I sent over my book to him.
So after a career in the NSL, he went over. He did a lot in Asia, didn't he? Coaching and
Singapore.
playing.
He played in Malaysia, and then he got into coaching in Singapore, then Malaysia, and did really well. And then he was the Maldives national team coach for quite a few years as well. So he didn't actually coach here, but he coached over there. And then, as you said, he went too soon. He's still a lot to offer.
So he suffered from depression. Did you know he was at the time?
Yeah. I knew there was stuff going on because his mum and dad told us, and that's when I went to Singapore. This trip to Singapore was actually to talk to Russian buyers to buy the jets, and we caught up with Dan quite a few times, and he told me what was going on, and because Dan wouldn't open up. Dan's your typical Aussie male.
Yeah.
You're not telling anybody anything, so you wouldn't know. But I was into it, and then I tried to come for a few weeks just to get a break for there and come to train at the Jets, just be part of the coaching squad for a couple of weeks, you know. And then he couldn't come. Something came up, and then not long after that, he sadly passed away.
You still think about him?
Yeah. Well, I still get a haircut for Alice and his sister. Me and Christine still come up. We come up to Rathmines, and we catch up with Kath all the time.
Yeah. It was a good story too.
His nephew's just played his 100th game with Toronto.
Really? Wow.
So the kids, because Darren's dad played like 500 odd games with Toronto Wobber. Darren came through, and now Alison's boys are both come through.
Yeah, incredible player. I remember he went from Toronto, and he came over to, when Adamstown was in the NSL, at Newcastle Rosebud United. There was a youth league competition. He played for the youth team, and playing the same team as Mark Jones too.
Yeah,
honestly, at the time, from a distance, they looked like brothers, those two. But I'll never forget, Newcastle Rosebud had to play a game. It was a washout game out at Blacksmith's Oval. It was an NSL game at Blacksmith's Oval, because it was the only place they could play it, because it was a sand-based, and everywhere else was washed out. But I'll never forget, it was a youth league game, and Darren had a corner in the on the southern end, and he's kicked it, and it's just gone straight in. I went, wow, you never see that very often. You score a goal direct from a corner. Fluke. Bad goalkeeping. 5 minutes later, another corner. He does the same thing. I'll never forget that, because I'm thinking, just to see one of those is a rarity. To see two,
everybody used to think he was a big tough guy, big hard man. He was, but he actually had some ability as well. He could run. He had great control. He was a great all-round player. And when he stayed with my boys, he just used to love corrupting my boys. He just filled their heads full of shit, and it didn't take them much to. They accepted it very easily. They used to love playing with Uncle Darren. But he lived with us down at 5 Dot, and then I went to Blacktown after that.
Yeah. I was just going to say, you went to Blacktown City, Wollongong City, Blacktown City again, Breakers, back to Blacktown City. Gee, you love Blacktown City.
Yeah, I was there for about 10 years, but when I was there, I ruptured my kidneys when I was playing the old NSL. I missed a full season there. Then I broke my tibia and fibia with Tony. I collided with Tony Franken, so I missed 2 seasons, and that's I came back during the season with Blacktown in the State League and finished a top goal scorer, and that's when I wanted to just prove to myself that I could still play the top level.
Yeah.
And Sydney, Manfred Safer was the coach at Sydney United, and he was like kind of pissing about, and he didn't sign me. And then I had the chance to come to Newcastle, and I didn't play a lot of games, but it was more I just wanted to prove I could do it. And I was working for ASICS at the time, so when I was up training, I would stay at Cass and Ray's house, Darren's house, and I would do my work up here and go to the sports shops and that up here when I was up. So it worked in pretty well.
I suppose too at Blacktown City when you had that injury, you got into coaching. I suppose that was a real catalyst. You know, I suppose at the time you're probably thinking this could be my next step to prolong this football ride.
I broke my leg when I came back. I started doing my coaching badges, as you say, and it was the best thing I did. You know, I learned so much because all these years when I've got these coaches tell me this and tell me that, and I'm thinking, because as players we all think we know better. You go, why is he telling me that shit? Why is he telling me that? But when it was Ron Smith who was doing the first badge, and you actually start thinking about things different. And now I advise any young players or players coming through the system now, go and do your coaching badges. Go and do your A badge, your C and your B, because it just changes how you think about the game. So I'd done it. I'd done my badges, and then I taken Kelly Cross, who's Sydney FC technical director for many years. He was the reserve team coach, and he got suspended for having a bit of argy-bargy on the sidelines with a Greek guy. And so I taken over the run of the team coming up to the final, and we got to the final, then Kelly taken over again, and then that's when I started looking at things a wee bit different, and I'd went and done a player coach's role at Hills United, and then that's when Dave Mitchell had come back from overseas. He was player coach at Sydney Olympic at the time, and David Barrett, who was a great Sydney Olympic player, great fullback, had said he was sponsored by ASICS. He came in one day and said, "Oh, you should phone Mitch. He's looking for an assistant." And I didn't know Mitch. I played against him in 1984 Rangers reserves versus Kilmarnock reserves, but I didn't know who he was then. It was later, and then I phoned Mitch up, but I knew Tom Sermani well, I knew Ron Smith well, and I said, "Look, I know these guys, blah, 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 blah." And he phoned me back that afternoon and said, "Can you be at Belmore tonight?" And I went there, and I was with Mitch. I was Mitch's assistant for 5 years, and we won the league at Sydney United and made a grand final. No, I had a great time with Mitch.
I think you won an award with him too. I think
He was coach of the year.
Yeah.
He won coach of the year.
Yeah.
I won it my first year at Northern Spirit, and then won it, So that was when Mitch won the coach of the year.
So you guys, you know, from Sydney United, you went on to coach Parramatta Power when that started. You always say that was the first A-League side that was ever made before the A-League.
They were before the A-League. They should have been in the A-League.
Yeah.
They had everything. The Parramatta Leagues Club, Dennis Fitzgerald and Alan Overton, the chairman, great. We went there and we got everything, had their own wee offices. It was cottages, but they owned most of the cottages round about the Leagues Club. The stadium.
Sports science?
We had a bit, Hayden Knowles came. We got him on board. I went there as the marketing manager and assistant coach, so it could be full-time. And it was great, like, to be in training every day. Like, I wished I was a full-time player because my touch got better when I was a coach, because I was doing the passing drills every day, you know. And now the 3 years we should have done better, but with a great 3 years then they never renewed their contract, and that's when I was approached for Northern Spirit to take over as head coach.
Well, I mean, that was a interesting stint. I mean, when Northern Spirit first started in the NSL, they were getting
18,000.
massive crowds at North Sydney Oval.
Full houses. When we come in, and I don't know if you remember this, when Rangers bought the club.
That's right, I do. Yeah, they used to have the badge on.
So
you would have loved that.
Oh yeah, well that was huge. But what happened? Their crowds dropped by half because not everybody's a Rangers fan.
Yeah.
You've got the Catholic Protestant thing.
Absolutely.
Their crowds actually dropped, and the English thing.
Yeah.
A lot of supporters were British backpackers, and the British community were supporting Northern Spirit. So the actual Rangers ownership actually cut crowds back, because all of a sudden your market of that became half the market.
And the money dried up pretty soon.
Money dried up near the end, and it was the same It was the same thing. The second season we moved to Rat Park.
Is it Warringah?
Yeah, and that was Simon Hill's first interview when he got off the plane, was interviewing me.
Wow.
I was putting nailing plastic seats into the grandstand, and he's come in and going, "Hey, I'm looking for Lawrie McKinna. Do you know where he is?" "Aye, you're speaking to him." He always says anytime. So that was his first gig when he came out here.
He's another good friend of yours, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think
I went to his farewell. I went to his farewell the other night.
I was going down. We're going to have him on the podcast in a few weeks' time, so I'm going to see him a little bit later. It was a Friday night down at Surrey Hills, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of people in that.
A lot of people. I went down for about an hour and a half, but it was a really good night. But now Simon, since he's came here, he's just so professional. He's great at his job. You know, and we obviously have known him well, but. You know, that picture there, that was us doing a promotion video for the Green and Gold Army to go to Oman.
Yep.
We went to Russia together,
right.
you know, me and Christine and him. And just some great experiences when you're going away with 400 or 500 Aussie Socceroos supporters. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, sad he's going home.
Oh, yeah. No, cause
a big loss.
I just think it's a big loss to the game here.
Yeah.
Big time. I think he's well known as the best commentator we've got, and it's sad that he's gone.
And he's been banging the drum. I mean, again, he's from England, and he's so passionate about the game here. Probably passionate about the game more than others, you know. And I know he's. It's almost like he's had enough.
Yeah.
And it's almost like he's going because if I don't go, the opportunities might not be there in a couple of years' time if he signs another Channel 10
and
contract.
he's bought a house over there, and
Yep.
he's going over, and he's going to be set up, and I'll keep in touch with him because just a good guy.
And the fact is, in a couple of days' time, he's actually going to China to commentate at the World Games. Now, the World Games is an international games that have sports which aren't in the Olympics. And can you believe he's actually he's commentating snooker, billiards, and carom billiards, which I never knew there was a hybrid game to billiards called carom billiards.
He's going to be a magician if he can make that sound interesting.
I actually said to him, I said, if you can pull this off, this will prove once and for all you're the greatest of all time. He goes, I hope so.
I'll keep in touch, and then hopefully when I'm back in the UK or that, I can go down and see him.
We have to be a Portsmouth fan too, because that's where he's bought.
Yeah,
a house in
I know he
Portsmouth,
is.
in Pompey. Tired of missing out on the best properties? Stop searching, start winning. At Optimum Buyers Agency, we work for you, not the seller. We negotiate harder, we move faster, we find the homes others don't. Off-market deals, smart strategy, real results. Whether it's your first home or your forever home, we make it happen. Optimum Buyers Agency, your edge in a competitive market. Just in regards to back on Northern Spirit again, where things were going bad. Fast forward when the Jets, in that what we spoke about before, you feel when you're at the Jets, it's almost like how you handled the situation at the Jets was the experience you've had throughout. You're thinking back to, I've been here before. You know, everyone else is panicking. I know, you know.
Because it's my job as a CEO to keep the players level and look after them and make sure we're still performing on the field. And then we just brung out Kenny Miller and Carl to be the coach. And I was paying their hotel bills because I had got them accommodation. I paid their airfares. This is on top of the other stuff, you know, because it was my name. You know, the guy at the apartments who was different class and looked after us, how could I not pay him? Alex Wilkinson's dad got their flights.
Yeah.
Wilco's dad used to do all the flights for the Jets and for Central Coast Mariners. How could I not pay him? And because I thought I was getting the money back, but no, it was at Northern Spirit. I remember one time the owner, he paid Adam Kwasnick, got paid on the Friday night because the boys weren't going to play. They said, we're not playing. If we don't get paid, we're not playing. So Quaz was with Westpac, and he dropped Quaz's money into his Westpac account. And on the Friday night, it comes up straight away because he's with Westpac. Boys, got paid. So the jungle drums were all beating. Everybody played. I think we went out and won the game. Nobody else got paid. He picked it. He just paid one player. So he would tell everybody else the money's going in the bank.
Is it true that those players at Northern Spirit, they were struggling to have money to eat?
Yeah, we used to have barbecues. I used to buy meat and we'd come in and put on a barbecue after training that so the boys were getting a meal. Yeah, in a hutch. Hutch and the boys were all living in the house and they didn't have any meals. So, no, I used to buy barbecue meat and that, and we'd have it after training so the boys were at least getting fed during the day.
They wouldn't have had any strength to play. But the Mariners, they, as we spoke about before, they started up. You took them 2 grand finals, Premier's Plate, qualifying for the AFC Champions League. They'd have to be your finest moments, do you feel?
Yeah, it was...
Looking back?
Yeah, looking back, I think being a big part of starting the club as well, when you see what the club became. And
a family.
Yeah, and it was a family. Everybody in the community knew who we were. We're out in the community. We're out there, and I was the first one leading it. And to me, as a coach, you have to be out front and foremost, because then if you're doing it, the players will do it. Because you'll get the player, I don't want to do this, it's shit. But if you make sure the events and stuff you're going to with the community are top notch, like when we were up here at Jets with the Greater Bank stuff, the community stuff.
Yeah.
We'd some great initiatives in that, and down there everybody, we were averaging 12,000 supporters. One of the seasons we'd sell out crowds.
And the fact that the Central Coast before this had never had any type of sporting team on a national level, it didn't really matter whether you were a football fan, a cricket, AFL, rugby league. You're going to get behind the team that's representing you.
Because when we started travelling, people go, who's the Central Coast? Because they're cut Tasmania and Brisbane. The Mariners put the Central Coast on the map. And I don't know how many grand finals, 4 grand finals, 5, whatever it is. That's worldwide recognition. And over the last couple of years in Asia, how good they did in the treble, that's what put the Mariners, the coast on the map.
I mean, pound for pound, in regards to success for how much money is outlaid, second to none in regards to...
definitely. And they're still battling at the moment, looking for new owners, stuff like that, and that's still ongoing.
But isn't that the thing too? We a lot of people go, oh, football in this country, always, no one wants to own a football club, they leave, everything like that. But people don't realise that happens everywhere in the world.
Just about, you could go over to the UK and probably get a dozen teams that are up for sale.
Yeah.
Glasgow Rangers have just been bought.
Yeah.
They've just been bought by the American consortium that's got the 49ers.
Are you happy with that?
Yeah. It's going
business.
to be... It's just business. If something's for sale and somebody wants to buy it, it's just business.
The 2 grand final losses is probably, that's one thing you would have loved to have maybe got one. I think we got some vision of the...
Oh, thanks. I've never recovered from fucking that Newcastle one. Even the Sydney one.
But the Newcastle one, probably, there were so many incidents in that, wasn't there? What a crowd that was too at the Sydney Football Stadium.
There's Bogues. And this is like Tony Vinton. Is this going to be Vinny slipping over?
Yeah. It's like the Gerrard moment, wasn't it?
And then you've got Bridgie who scores like an unbelievable. That's some finish.
He still had some work to do after Vidmar.
No, definitely. And we'd just got in top then. We were kind of getting in top, but then that last few minutes when Vukovic touched the goalkeeper, touched the referee, and that would just blew everything up. It was just shocking. You go for, I hear the James Holland, and I see James every time he comes back from overseas.
You always remind him.
Oh no, we talk. I'd signed him. I released him. I released him to let him go there.
That's right. But didn't he go? He was with the AIS.
And then I signed him as a local boy, and he signed Danny off. But what happened? So Shields, going back a few years later, phoned me up, and he came up because he was from Brisbane. He came up to Brisbane, and he came up to the coast, and he apologised for missing it. And
you wish he could have done that in the press conference.
Well, See, there you go. It's a handball, and then we have to score the penalty to go in. The momentum, we'd have won. It was the last minute. We'd have steamrolled them, but he came up, and credit to him. And I said, it'd been nice. I said exactly that. I said, it'd been nice if you'd done it earlier. I says, but I never ever came out and bagged them. When the media the press conference that day, they said, what about that? And I went, you saw it. You write about it. I don't need to.
This is
say
the
it.
one time you would have loved VAR.
Ah,
VAR.
yeah, it probably broke down for 30 seconds again. No, my fucking luck. But he came up and he was great, and I really appreciate it as a guy. He came up and he made the effort to come up and say, look, I got it wrong.
There were some decent referees back then.
Oh, it's some good
really,
referees.
really good ones.
And we had some great banter on the sideline with me and Fergie.
Yeah. You had a lot of favourites at the Mariners. Hutch, Wilkinson, Kwasnick, Heffernan.
Still see Hef, still see Quaz, still...
Yeah, did they ever fight amongst each other about the favouritism? Or
No, I'm still call me Gaffer. I'm still called Gaffer. I see Hef's changed his name. He's now Dyson Dean because he works for Dyson. So the girls, when he goes to this gym, he's got his own membership now at the Crown Plaza, but he was going in as me. It's the best looking my body's ever been. Hef was going into the gym under my card, but he's now got his own membership. And the girls see him when he comes out. So he always comes up because he says me and Christine were his football mum and dad. And then when he started work, because the girls, all the women, all the 50s or probably 60 plus, they all thought, good-looking boy, he still fits in it, and now he's the sales manager for Dyson, so he's now called Dyson. So
he could probably still play for
and
it.
I text Hutch this morning because he got done at the weekend in Japan, so still keep in touch with Hutch. And now a lot of what I see Quaz is coaching up at the International Sports College.
Yep.
So a lot of those core boys, we had a challenge game, a charity game on at the stadium, and it was the Mayor's 11 versus Robbie Slater's 11, and I had about 8 or 9 of the ex-original Mariners playing, so it was really good we got them in.
I bet.
And
one guy that I think you'd be more proud of than any would have to be Milo Jedinak. He could have quite easily have went back to Sydney United and never been seen again.
Never been seen. And the one time when he was getting a chance was pre-season up at... just outside Brisbane. We're playing Brisbane Roar in the pre-season cup, so we could play trialists. And he got sick. He couldn't play. We had to leave him in the hotel room, and that's when Tony Vidmar just came. Viddy never played. He travelled with us, and then he kept plodding away, and he was going to give it away. And he just about killed himself coming down from Carry-On when he skidded off the road. Because one day we're training at Central Coast Grammar, and where's Millie? And he'd actually spun off the road in the wet.
I think I know that spot too.
Yeah,
it's a shocker.
Yeah. So, but Millie, he 2 years, unbelievable. I remember his first game for the Mariners was against the Jets, I think. And Lyle Gorman after the game went there. Wasn't he too impressed? I said, I'm the coach. And then when I went in to fight for him because the club didn't want to let him go, but they got about 850 grand from him. We were sitting about second in the league. It was around about January. We were playing in Wellington, and he went overseas. He went to Turkey, and we never won a game. We made it. We scraped into finals and got beaten the first semi for Brisbane, and it was him.
It was just one of those quiet achievers, wasn't he? In the middle of the park,
just won the ball,
solid as a rock.
Won the ball and passed it to somebody else. Yeah. Very simple. That was his game. He'd Inspector Gadget legs. He'd win the tackle and he'd pass it to somebody else. And he scored a few bombs for us. Bombs. Yeah. And then his career, he went. And
did you expect him to get to that?
But he went to Turkey, and he got loaned out. The club wouldn't play him, and then that's when he went to Palace when they were championship. And I always kept in touch with him, and anybody going over got tickets, and he looked after him top notch. And when I was running for council, he'd done a video for us. He did a video, vote Team Central Coast, vote Lawrie McKinna. But no, it just shows you somebody, he'd been disillusioned when he went to Croatia as a young boy. He was going to give the game away, and it just shows you with the right attitude. And as a captain, he's the captain of Socceroos, but he wasn't a big vocal person. He done it by actions. You know, you get two kind of coach.
Yep.
But Alec Wilkinson, a fantastic coach, fantastic captain.
Yep.
He did it by action. He
Yep.
didn't do it by talking like Hutch. He was an organizer and barking at everybody. You know, everybody was different. Everybody was different.
And in those early days too, how many training facilities did you guys have? You were
19.
everywhere.
19.
Mingara,
Grammar
Central
School.
Coast Grammar School, Budgie Killarney Vale, Badu Bay.
Canwell. Now 19 different training venues. The hockey field, AstroTurf hockey field at Wyoming.
Yeah.
Their grass field. The bit of grass outside the stadium where the marquee is. With that, we trained there for a month because everything was shut.
That's right.
Um,
I remember driving past Budgie once, and I looked out and I went, "My God, that's Mark Bosnich having keeper training." And this was just when he was going through that bad time.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, wasn't that long ago he was playing at Old Trafford?
Yeah.
And here he is, Budgie.
Budgie. Yeah. When Aloisi turned up, we were at a park in Long Jetty. What was it called? I should know it. And the first day he's turned up for training, there were a burnt car park out in the cricket wicket in the middle of the field. And then there were another day, Vidmar's first day, we're playing 8v8, and this woman who's out walking the dog, she's walked straight across the middle of it. The dog had a shit. The dog had a shit in the middle of the fucking park. Everybody stopped. But what does a good coach do? I got the yellow cone and I scooped the shit up. And right, boys, play on. And that's what the boys were, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
That was the first 2 year biggest signings ever. That was the first days. You know, one turned up in a burnt car and the other one turned out it was Jubilee.
Yeah.
It was Jubilee Park in Long Jetty.
Well, it's funny. I remember I had a radio show in Newcastle, just community radio. It was called Football Frenzy. And back then I actually had to go there with a little recorder. And I asked if I could do an interview with you. He said, yeah. This was probably the first time I met you face to face. And you were at Jubilee Park. And you're in the middle. It was like about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. All the boys had gone through their paces. You're in the middle shouting. And you could see me on the. You knew it must have been me. You go, hey, come on, And I'm like, now, yeah. So I'm standing in the middle. Come on, let's go. Let's do the interview. And I'm like, but everything's like, this is ridiculous. You're going to stop? No. Let's just get it done. And I did the interview with you in the middle of this training session.
I used to do it. Sarah, that used to be with NBN.
Yes.
One day with her, like the coach, like the same thing started, and they'd be waiting a while, and I always felt you need to get you moved on. And Fergie and that would have taken the warm up, but I lay in the grass. Me and her lay in the grass, and the cameraman lay where you were, and we lay in the grass. It was quite romantic, actually. We done the interview, but I would do that a lot of time too, because they've got schedules to keep in that. But it was just, if it made it easier for somebody, you try your best.
Well, I'll tell you what, when Graham Arnold turned up, it was the total opposite.
Total
It was
opposite.
like, you turn up and it was like, when's this training session finish? When Arnie wants it to finish.
Yeah.
And if they're training really well, he just keeps them going.
Yeah.
So you'd be there for sometimes 2 hours, and then they'd have to come off, have an ice bath, and it was just like this epic thing, know. But do you feel that sometimes too, like we wrap players in cotton wool a little bit too much?
Definitely.
In regards to, especially in the way this country is with football. We've got all these other, we're fighting against all these other codes. We need to get on the front foot. I remember around that same time, I did an interview with Alex Wilkinson. It was the Mariners' day off, and Ben Coonan was the media manager. And Ben said, "Oh, it's their day off today, but Alex is going for he's going with his wife to Beds R Us down at Erina, shopping for a bed. Just give him a call when you get there." Oh, what? Called him up. He comes out of Beds R Us. Let's do the interview.
Yep.
Never happened today.
No, but because and it's the same as the mayor now. Like yesterday I got a text. I got a call, missed it, for an unknown number for a lady for Telegraph. Want to do something about the shark nets. And that's all meant to go through the system and blah, blah, come back. So I just phoned her and I done it. It was 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It was harmless. You have to be able to pick up. If somebody phones you, it's like, yeah, I can talk to them now. Yeah, do it. It's just being easy to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Another experience you had after the China experiences, you went there twice. It seems like you really enjoyed.
Once you were there, obviously there were a lot of shit went on while we were there, but when I went to Chengdu, that was Sheffield United had a little bit to do with that because they were a little bit involved with the Mariners at the time.
Yeah.
and they had an 80% share in the club at the time. But I got there and like 6 training fields, complex with 74 rooms, offices, gymnasium. It's like, wow, this is like unbelievable. Had a 1-bedroom apartment in the city, had a 1-bedroom apartment in the training complex. My offices was there. What a setup. The chairman was in jail, match fixing. So you go, fucking bells start going off. The current chairman was involved with martial arts and TV and bit strange. So it was a bit. So I had Brendan Santalab, Adam Kwasnick came over. Hutch came just when I was finishing. Joanna Sully, the big boy for Adelaide. So I had the Aussie connection there. So we'd, every day they'd walk down to training. What's happening in the circus today, boss? Because there always something was happening. Yeah. But
it seems like it doesn't matter what country you're in. There's this situation.
And then our first trial game was against a local, a state league club. 38 minutes was all in. This is a week before the season starts against Shandong, the current champions. 38 minutes in, the game gets abandoned because it was like Bruce Lee was like kicking everybody's heads off. It was just an all-in brawl. It was like, wow. So we went to Shandong. Game kicked off. There were like 40,000 there, and I think Brendan scored and Quaz scored. Finished up 2 each. But the first goal, the goalkeeper led it through his legs. Second goal, he was fixing his wall. And the ref blew the whistle and he was still fixing the wall and the boy just chipped it over into the back of the net. It was done. It was definitely 100%. That's the only game I can say I'm sure there were goals were given, but that goalkeeper got looked after then.
One thing you did do over there was that, again, very much like here, you really took the players to the community, didn't you? And they accepted it where they probably weren't used to that.
They're not used to it. They weren't used to it. When I left, so our results were kind of mid-table. I was getting mentioned for the national team coaching job because I was doing a good job with what I had. Then they put 10 players on the transfer market, wouldn't let them train and play, so that it stuffed up our team. And when I left, I resigned. That's when my son and his daughter and the 2 grandkids were over. They come over for like 10 days. We had a great time with them. And I went to the game. There were a game on the day before I left. And I went myself, and the fans, they had the big, huge... I've still got the big banner. Big banner, thank you, Lawrie. They spelt Lawrie wrong, but thank you, Lawrie, for everything you've done. And when we went to the airport, there were about 20 fans came to the airport. It doesn't sound a lot, but when you're in China and 20 fans who you don't know came... They're crying, and Chris would go, "What are they doing here for?" Because she started getting a bit emotional. And I was getting emotional as well when we left. They were all hugging us, and it was just really special. They gave us all these pictures and hugging. She got really wound up at the beginning. What are they here for? But she really got emotional as well, and it was so nice. Like when we left, we got the local boys to come, and we gave them our dinners, and we gave them all that stuff to look after them. But we'd really good. When I went to Chongqing, older facility, had my 1-bedroom apartment, 3-bedroom apartment, 500 metres down the road. It was owned by a tycoon, Li Fan Motors. They do a lot of motorbikes and cars. So he came now and again. I didn't see much of him, but everything. It was, you just have to advise in your everywhere because you can. I used to know when things were going down at Chengdu because there was a pillar next to me where I ate my meals and I could see the reflection. And the doctors, when I was there at both clubs, were the ones where all the information went back to the chairman. So it was, and then the second place, I still keep in touch with the translator for the first one. The second one, one of the players came up and said, "Lawrie, boss, he's not translating what you're wanting. He's translating what the chairman's want." So I had to run in with the chairman about an ex-international boy. He couldn't run. I played the game and said, "Yes, sign him." But if he's not fit, he's not playing. Because the boy couldn't run and he was getting booked. Every time he come off the bench, he'd get booked. He's a liability. So I dug him in my heels, and then that's when I resigned and went, "I've done."
Well, staying on translators, there's a... you must have...
That was him, Eli.
That looks like you've won the synchronised coaching award.
There were not just that picture. There were a lot of those pictures. Everything I did, he did it, but he didn't like swearing. But Eli, he's married now with kids, and he's still a translator at a club. He was different class with Quaz and Hutch and the boys. He used to come with us all the time. He loved it. That was his happiest he ever was when we were there. So that's a great, because I was thinking earlier when I mentioned translators, I go, he fucking copies me. They're training pictures and he's always like that. Fucking
great times.
Yeah, fucking.
I reckon
I paid for his wedding.
Oh, really?
When I was leaving the club and I was getting my bonus money, and I gave him my bonus money and it paid for his wedding.
Man.
Not that it was.
You paid for a lot of people's
I paid
things.
for a lot of things.
Man.
It was probably about 2,000 Aussie dollars at the finish up, but it was bonus money that I didn't think I was going to get, and I got it. And
but that to him would have been like,
that paid for his wedding
and his honeymoon. They still tell me that Joel Griffiths gets mobbed if he goes to China.
So when we went with Martin Lee, when we first taken over the club, because Joel, as soon as it was all happening in my mind, I phoned Joel because he was my first signing as football manager. We went over there and we done a big press conferences, big news. But then one of the times we went to Beijing Guan versus Tangentera, which is a derby game. Walking through the hotel to the ground, Joe, it was like the Beatles. I described, he was getting mobbed. Honestly, he was getting mobbed.
No one, Joel. It's a wonder he doesn't live over there so he can keep this up.
He was getting mobbed, and then I remember we were sitting in the director's box in the grandstand, and every time the ball went out, cameras came on Joe. Seriously, like he was like a superstar there.
And I think there's 1 billion Chinese that got signed up for Aussie home loans as well.
I actually flew to Bianca 2 nights ago with another customer. I recommend them all.
I hope you're getting commission.
No.
Look, just one probably last question. I mean, you've had an incredible life. What's been the best bit? If you could go back to that time, what's that time you'd love to replay? It's a tough one, isn't it? Because
if it's a game, just a game that was probably was when the Mariners were down 2-0 to the Jets the first leg of the semi, and then we won 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
We won 3-0 at home when Kwasnick scored and Petrovsky got 2. Like, that was a special night for the club, for the region. You know, the place was jumping. So as a game, I would have liked to have been a full-time footballer. At one time in Scotland, I think maybe after year 2, Hearts were interested in me, which would have been going to Kilmarnock were in the Premier League then, but if I'd have went, you know, you don't know what would have happened.
So when you were in Australia, did you look back and go, "Oh, I could have stayed maybe a couple of years to see what?"
No, never once. We came here; it was the best thing. The best thing we ever did was come to Australia.
Personally,
as
your best moment?
Oh, personally, look, when I became the mayor of Gosford, it was just, who would have thought this? Like, I had article, I was doing interviews in China and Chinese, because you can't be a football coach in China and become the mayor. To do that was like, and not that I thought of it then, but I think back now, and now being the mayor of Central Coast, being this wee boy for Galston, you know, it's pretty cool. You know, becoming an Aussie citizen. Although I'm as Scottish as they come, and I'll always be Scottish, but the day me and Christine became Australian citizens, last game of season 2008 against Adelaide on the park, there were a fire on the freeway, the bushfire, so the refs were delayed, so there were nothing to do. Me and Christine were the attraction, and there were 12,000 people there, and we become Aussies. We done the ceremony on the city, and that was, like, now when I'm the mayor doing the citizenship ceremonies, it's the best gig.
Yeah.
It's because you just see the joy. Now, it's slightly changed now. You don't individually give the certificate. They get it at the end, but we all do the pictures, and me and the town crier are there.
I know.
And everybody gets their pictures taken, and it's just special because that was me all those years ago. Yeah. So, a lot of cool things, but to say biggest decision, hardest decision, but it ended up being a good one. And it's not always been easy, as you know, and there've been a lot of ups and downs. At the moment, things are going all right. I'm still working in behind the scenes with the Mariners, trying to get them a new buyer and stuff like that. But
well, you're going over to Scotland in a few days' time.
I'm going to see my
you might
mum.
find a buyer over there.
Now I'm going to see my mum and my brother. My brother's got silicosis. He was in hospital there for 2 weeks, pretty bad. He's out now, but he's on oxygen. He was a stonemason. I'm going to tell you a funny story that you don't know soon. He was a stonemason for 30 odd years, so all the dust and that, and he's only 55, and he's on oxygen all the time. But my brother is a world champion. So we're such an athletic family. So you think about Simon Hill going billiards and stuff. How do you think Simon, this is a challenge for Simon. So Simon, when you see this, and I'll speak to you before you go, but my brother was the 2004 world champion stone skimmer. You know, every kid in the world skims stones.
Yes.
So the year before, my brother I think he must have been up in the Highlands, and it's in Scotland in one of the lochs every year. He'd went in and he came second. So the next year, he's went in, I had no idea. And he threw 40, it's in it. If you Google World Stone Champion, it's 2004, then he got flown down to London. But there used to be a programme, Man Against Machine. And it was like they replicated it like a slingshot against my brother. My brother beat it. So he was 1 year. So we're just an athletic family.
I've always thought with the stone skimming, it's all about the stone. You've got to find that. You've got to find that thing.
They've got piles of them, but you pick your own stones.
Yep.
So they've got piles of them there, but pick your own stones. So, see, the misspent youth that he had, so all those years of masturbating himself and having the big forearms, that's what helps with your fucking stone skimming.
You're getting
so, Andrew McKinna, when you watch this, you're basically a good wanker.
You going to any Rangers games while you're there?
Well, I only found out this morning when I looked at the initial draw. I'm only the second game of the season. It was going to be Saturday, but because of TV, I only found out this morning it's changed. So I'll be getting on the jungle drums over the weekend and trying to get tickets for the Sunday. I was going to take my mum down to my brother's house, but he can wait till Monday. I'll try and go to Ibrox next. They're playing in Europe. They're playing Swiss team on Tuesday, and then I think they're on international break. So I usually when I tell my mum I'm coming, she says, "Who's Rangers playing?" It's the first thing she said, and it's usually Celtic.
How old's mum?
87.
Wow.
But she's buzzing. She's stays in a 2-bedroom house, and she's up and down the stairs, and she's jumps on the bus to Glasgow and jumps. Oh, at the moment she jumped on 4 buses yesterday. Galston, my village, to Kilmarnock, which is 5 miles. Kilmarnock to Cumnock down to Dumfries to get picked up. So 4 hours on the bus she's going to be to get to my brother's house.
She's good at parking the bus. Say hello to Mum for us.
I will.
Look, thanks for coming on the show. And I'll finish with this. This is from a word from a former Socceroo, Robbie Slater, who you know well too. You're a loud Scottish bastard who always had something to say and always left your mark. Lawrie McKinna, thanks for coming on Incredible Lives with Caney.
Pleasure. Thank you.